100% of the Romulan refugees on Earth are spies.
Yeah, so I do want to point out the irony. You're not wanting to waste your time on Picard, but being willing to spend approximately 2 to 3 times the amount of time you would spend watching it, discussing it with people.
I don't know if you heard me pour my third glass of wine, Dustin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another very special episode of Back Up a Second. I'm your moderator, Dapper Stormtrooper, here bringing order to the galaxy and this podcast. I'm once again joined by Annoyed Fish and Madcap Mozart, and tonight we'll be moving on to discuss Episode 2 of the CBS trash hit Picard, currently rating 87% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 0 in our heart. Gentlemen, engage.
87%, that high, really?
Yes, I was shocked too, which is why I'm including it.
Oh, man.
I have already drank my warm-up glass of wine. I'm on glass number 2 for tonight.
What happened after we found out that androids have to be made in pairs and contain Data's soul?
Oh, good Lord.
Quick recap here, just in case you missed it last time. Synths destroyed Mars.
As synths do.
Daj, the other main character of last time's episode, Daj goes and finds Picard because she was attacked by Romulan ninjas and they murdered her boyfriend. Picard finds out that this Daj girl must possibly be the daughter of Data, right?
Dun, dun.
Because of a painting that Data did.
He's not a daughter. They just contain the essence.
Yeah, they decide to seek out Data's essence, basically. Anyway, so Picard and Daj go through the episode. Daj ends up exploding because of Romulan ninjas. And then Picard decides, this is his call to action, we decided, that Picard is going to seek out whoever did this. Right? And Bruce Maddox is involved, so he's there.
How did Bruce Maddox get involved?
He potentially no.
Okay.
But they talk about him. He potentially created Daj. Potentially.
Okay. Possibly.
They heavily allude to that. Oh, also good news, Dustin.
Yes.
We get to find out what happened to the rogue synths.
Yay!
Yeah.
Excellent. So I kind of made a big deal of that, so I'm really happy to hear that.
Yep. So we get to that right away in episode 2 of Star Trek Picard, Maps and Legends. We open up on Mars at the Utopia Planitia shipyards, which by the way are on the surface of Mars. I think that's an important detail to keep in mind.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why are the
Utopia Planitia shipyards are on the surface of Mars.
Why would a shipyard be on the surface?
Good question.
Yeah.
Although I suppose it could just be like a surface, like part of the operations, but like on the surface.
Like a warehouse?
I will tell you why, because they're still trying to justify that the Enterprise was being built at a beer factory in Star Trek 2009.
What? No, let's not get sidetracked. Moving on.
That's a different timeline, Dustin.
I know, but I'm just saying that's why, because that's what they're trying to still justify. Even though it makes every sense, both practically, we have seen practical sense would be built in space. That's how they're building the International Space Station. So we see it in our world, and we see it in Star Trek, where the shipyards are clearly in space.
Yeah,
but,
the first movie.
Yeah. But none of that matters because Star Trek 2009, the Enterprise was being built at the Budweiser factory in Iowa. So we got to keep up with that.
Different timeline. Right. Ships are built on the ground in the other timeline because of the one Romulan time traveler that was hunting down Spock.
That's, long, butterfly effect, man. Horseshoe
tangent.
Nail.
So anyway, back in this timeline.
Yes.
The Prime timeline, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So we're at the Utopia Planitia shipyards, and it's first contact day.
Yay.
Right? So they have a skeleton crew operating, right?
Okay.
And the workers are all complaining about it, and they're just whining and whining.
Wait. Why?
They're like, well, why do we have to work when everybody else gets first contact day off? I could be at home eating cake with my kids, right? That kind of stuff.
So that's
Wow.
the tradition, is eating cake?
I don't know.
Oh, you
I
just made it
guess.
up. Like,
No, that's actually somebody mentioned cake.
That's the actual line.
that's
Somebody,
okay.
First
cake is
contact
mentioned.
day.
First contact
The
cake.
fact that other people are eating cake and these people are at work, that is in the episode.
Okay.
That's
Got it.
just
We
there's
get
all sorts of things wrong with that, but moving past it.
Oh, the dialogue is really bad in this whole
Oh,
section.
God. Okay.
Anyway, we get a quick shot of a dude like opening up a door, and there's a whole bunch of androids standing behind it. Right,
Okay.
these are our synths.
Gotcha.
And they're all like uniform, wearing orange, and they all have a letter and a number. Right, the one we get to meet is F8.
F8. All
F8.
right.
So the dude who opens the door, he says, "Good morning, plastic people," and they all respond in unison.
Is he being like super sarcastic when he does this?
Kind of.
Kind
Like
of.
I was hamming it up a little bit more, but
Okay.
not that much.
Gotcha.
So anyway, there's this shot. We see these automaton synths being, introduced to the workday. There's a voiceover giving, which cycle it is, number, whatever. We cut to an area where a bunch of people are working. This is where we get the dialogue of, the bad dialogue of people complaining that they have to work on first contact day.
Why do they have to work on first contact day?
Why wouldn't they have to work? They need a skeleton crew.
Why do they need a skeleton crew? I thought they're building ships.
Because it's a
This is
military installation. It has to be guarded.
Yeah, it's a major
Are they-
operation.
Are they guarding?
Somebody has to run things. Apparently, in the 24th century, things don't run themselves.
Well,
Except for the
apparently,
city.
yeah. Apparently, in the 24th century, yeah,
You
things
still
don't
need to sell. That's how they justify it. They
and
need
everyone has to work on Christmas
Well, more
It's
like
in
the
the
4th of
script.
July.
or 4th of July, whatever you want to call it. And it sounds like it would be more like Columbus Day.
Probably not.
I was just thinking,
Unless the Vulcans gave us a disease and killed a bunch of us.
would the Vulcans be Columbus, or would
Yeah,
what's his face? I should know.
it's
His
more,
name.
it's more like 4th of July. That's what I was picturing.
Well, no, 4th of July would be like Federation Day, like when the first accords were signed, like at the end of Star Trek Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Fact checker.
Yes.
I'm not sure what you
What am I
wanted to
fact
check.
checking? I don't.
It just seemed like something that could be checked. We're in this workspace,
Mhm.
right? It's kind of like a break room, I imagine.
Okay.
But there's control panels. It's Star Trek.
As there is.
So we're in a workplace, and then this synth walks in, F8,
F8.
and they all kind of say hi to him, right? But they all seem to like, after they say hi, they all mutter to each other. He's like, "Oh, he's so creepy," right? Like they're
Wait,
all
the
kind of
synths do
weirded
this?
out. No, the people.
Oh.
They kind of whisper to each other behind the synth's back, but they don't really whisper because they see this guy as just a machine.
Right. So
Right.
these are very disgruntled,
Because we talked about this last time. Synths don't have like AI.
supposedly.
Allegedly.
Right.
Computer status report.
Just to for the fact checking, because it was demanded of me. It's a historic day on April the 5th of 2063.
Oh.
So actually, relatively recently.
Yes.
Is that
Unless
first
you're listening
contact
to
day?
this. Yep, that's first contact day, April 5th.
Cool.
So unless you're listening to this in the distant future, it's actually only a few days ago. And
Hey, if you're
in
listening
the
to
future.
this, if you're listening to this in the 24th century, high five. Thank you.
Carry on.
They're talking to this synth. They're having fun at it, at it saying weird things. Like he's like, "Hell yeah," a couple times, and they're like, get a chuckle out of it, right? Because
Okay.
they're teaching it to say human colloquialisms.
You know what's messed up about this? Star Trek has the technology for robots to interact non-creepily because there's the holodeck, there's the emergency holographic doctor.
Yeah, but Dustin, do you have any idea how often the holodeck goes haywire?
I mean, I'm just saying it's a little lore breaking for androids 20 years after TNG to be talking very creepily. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe they decided that they would just tone it down a little bit because all their previous artificial intelligence tends to go haywire.
Did somebody suggest that?
I did.
I mean, is it suggested in the narrative at all?
I mean, it's Star Trek. Dustin.
I mean,
you can imply, you can not infer. You can infer things.
I know. I'm just saying that's just another example of sloppy writing. They're just dropping the ball.
It's like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on, gentlemen.
Okay, so they're having fun getting this android to say, or this synth, I'm sorry, to say weird, funny things. And there's an exchange where one of the guys is like, "Hey, F8, what's brown and sticky?" And then F8 immediately responds with a list of things like teratogenic coolant, isonucleic residue, boson-enriched nanopolymer. And the dude's like, it's a stick.
And that's it. And that's how the robot revolution happened. Bad puns.
All right, and then F8 gets his big old stupid grin. And the guy's like, do you get it? And F8 says, no, and walks away. Because he's not going to get human humor.
Yeah. What is this humor?
Humor. Anyway, So yeah, all the workers are talking. They're complaining. They're a bit creeped out, right? And they they're getting food, and they start complaining about the replicator. They're just whining about everything.
Right.
All right.
Disgruntled employees in the 24th century. Got it.
Yeah. And then we get a close-up shot of F8's face, and his eyes glitch.
Glitch?
Yeah, it's like they go really quick.
That doesn't help. Is it something? Do they change colors? Do their
no? They
eyes
do
go
this
back
weird.
and forth?
I can't really describe it. They do this weird turning thing. They're focusing, but it's more elaborate, and it's real quick and subtle, but not subtle. Small movement.
It's very small movement. Okay.
It's like, and then F8 walks over to one of the control panels. And starts pushing buttons and turning these virtual knobs and stuff. And one of the workers notices, what are you doing? And then the alarms start sounding, right? And it's code red and everything, red lights, and chaos ensues. One of the guys runs over to try to stop him. And without looking, F8 just reaches behind him, grabs the dude's neck and snaps it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Pretty
and then everybody goes crazy. And then you get the voice over the warning computer be like, warning, synths everywhere have been compromised. Warning, deflector shields have been lowered. Warning, the world, planet's going to get destroyed, basically.
It's a pretty standard warning system. Pretty standard black song.
Warning, the end of the world is here.
You know where it's heading. Meanwhile, they're trying to stop F8, but he goes and grabs this phaser. I don't think it's a phaser though, because it's super concentrated and powerful. When he goes,
how are they trying to stop him? He just snapped a guy's neck.
Oh yeah, they're freaking
with
out.
His bare hands. So how are they trying to stop him?
They're panicking.
You said they were trying to stop him.
Well, they don't have a lot of time, so they don't really get to do anything.
Okay.
As I'm about to say,
yeah,
he grabs this phaser or whatever, but it's super focused. So when he shoots them. Mm-hmm. He immediately starts shooting all of them. They all die.
Oh.
But when he shoots them, it's imagine an instant laser beam about 3 inches wide, just blasting a hole straight through them.
So laser shot.
It's just that's it. They're dead.
Okay. All right.
And then the warning signs and the alarms are still going off, and there's a close-up of F8's face, and one of the voiceover warnings says cascade failure, and he shoots himself in the head.
What? Okay.
And then it shows the satellites and stuff above Mars starting to aim and destroy things, and then there's these drone ships shooting things, and everything's blowing up, and Mars is destroyed, or at least everything on the surface. The planet's still there.
Well, but you said last time that they ignited the atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
so
that happens.
Did we see that?
No.
So we just see them.
I mean, we just see general chaos and destruction.
Okay, but we don't see them igniting the atmosphere.
Not specifically that I noticed.
Okay. That's weird.
They already told you about it, Dustin. Why would they?
Yeah, we don't need to see it.
Well, we already know that the rogues went crazy. Why are they showing the rogues going crazy?
Because you wanted to see it.
Yep. Brian called in for you.
But if I want to see that, I would also want to see the atmosphere. Because here's the thing: when you say you said last time the red planet burns and the atmosphere is on, ignited. I pictured they planted some kind of super advanced technical bomb
No, the
that was like a
explosions.
super weapon.
The explosions from them destroying the shipyards ignited flammable vapors in the stratosphere.
Phlogiston.
Okay, that's
It seems pretty straightforward to me.
not
Very,
really.
very, very simple.
Simple is a word to describe it. It's just weird, just the way they described it, and to say that they ignited the atmosphere was really all they did was shoot a bunch of lasers around the place. That seemed like a very small.
They blew things up, like both on the surface and in orbit. Like everything is destroyed.
Oh, did they show ships in orbit blowing up stuff?
Yeah, I said that.
Oh,
like the
in
satellites
orbit.
were like turning and blowing stuff up.
But stuff in orbit wasn't getting destroyed. The stuff in orbit was destroying stuff on the surface.
No, everything was getting destroyed.
Oh.
Like
Okay.
it was just showing us general chaos and destruction.
Yeah, they want to show off their production budget. Got it. Let's go. Let's move on.
Okay. Yeah, so cascade failure in progress, and he shoots himself. I feel like that's important that they would show that shot of his face with that line being spoken over top of it.
Cascade?
Anyway,
wasn't that have something to do with data?
That's what happened to Lal.
Yeah, it was cascade failure after cascade failure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's generally a cascade failure.
Yeah,
You have
okay,
them happening
point.
after another.
Yes. Yep.
It's a
Okay.
cascade of.
Yeah,
cascade
you got it. Sorry, I should say multiple cascading failures. So multiple dominoes falling over.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after the credits, we get Act 1.
So that's the teaser.
Yeah, that was the teaser.
Okay.
That was page 1.
All right.
Page 2.
We are flying through this. Let's do it.
Oh, just you wait.
Yeah, that was like 90 seconds probably.
Yeah, I mean, none of that was like particularly upsetting to me. Just some of it was.
I mean, except for the whole thing about them not showing the atmosphere getting.
Well,
You
yeah,
seem
I feel
pretty
like
upset.
that was missing, but like the laser gun again, like these shows when I watched Discovery, I had no problem about like the production budget and the production value, and I really thought that was some of the great stuff they did. And updating the lasers in the future so that they actually look like they could be harmful. I kind of like that idea. So it's usually just the writing I hate. So this kind of opening shot, I'm not really upset with.
Okay, because they're actually showing us stuff.
Yeah, they're showing us stuff. It's a teaser. You gotta bring in the people who need to see an explosion every 20 minutes.
Exactly. Okay, so Act 1. We are at Chateau Picard.
All right.
And so Picard, Laris, by the way, is her name. I think last time I said Lara. It's Laris. So Picard, Laris, and Jaban are all there. Those are his 2 Romulan caretakers.
Okay.
If you remember. So they're at Chateau Picard, and they're reviewing the footage of the explosion that blew Picard back.
What you mean where he got his good knocking?
Yes.
He took a good knock.
He took a good knock.
He took a good knock.
So they're reviewing that footage, and it's the exact same camera shot that we see of the explosion in the previous episode.
I don't know
But
why
it's
they
like-
do
it's
that
like-
when it's streaming. Like you do that in a weekly series because you need to remind people what happened. But this is
This
streaming.
is a weekly series.
They're only. That's right. They are only doing it, releasing it once a week.
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll give it to them. All right.
Okay, so they review the exact same shot. So that's why I say footage. But it's meant to be like security feed,
Okay.
right? Like security cameras caught this. And so they see the shot of Picard getting blasted back by the explosion. There's even the big fireball in frame. But as they're watching, they talk about how there's no sign of Daj or any Romulans being there.
Okay.
Right? It's just the footage, and the police said that it was just Picard was up there by himself. There's no sign at all that anybody else was there.
When something exploded.
So they weren't curious why something exploded.
Oh.
Like they didn't interview the one person who was close enough to take a good knock.
Well, no, he was knocked out.
I know. Well, I know, but you would think they would stick around long enough to be like, "Oh, hey, you're awake. What happened, guy?"
Are they Canadian?
I mean, you don't know. There's no Canada in the future. So.
What happened to Canada in the future?
No, I mean, there's no Canadians. There's people who live in Canada.
Oh my God! They all got killed in World War III.
Did they get eugenicized away?
Let's move on.
So there's no sign of Daj or the Romulans, right?
Okay.
There's not even any. They did trace scans and they didn't pick anything up, right?
Okay.
So all the records show that.
So are people like Picard? You imagine the whole thing, or what's the response from his Romulan friends?
Inconclusive.
Okay.
Although in their discussions,
okay.
Laris brings up the Tal Shiar, right? Or somebody brings up the Tal Shiar because, like, right, they're secretive. Maybe they had something to do with this,
Right? Because we knew they were Romulans. Okay. So
right, and they like being sneaky. Maybe they're covering their tracks, right? Could it be the Tal Shiar? And then
that sounds like very Romulan Tal Shiar thing.
And then this is when Laris mentions, no, this isn't really the Tal Shiar way. I think this is more of that a deeper level. There's when we find out there's a deeper group called the Zhat Vash.
The Zhat Vash. Okay.
The Zhat Vash.
Zhat
Vash something.
Zhat Vash. So it's like a deeper part of the Tal Shiar?
Yeah, well, they go into this.
Okay.
So somebody mentions the Zhat Vash, and then Jaban is like, oh no, the Zhat Vash. That's a Tal Shiar story. It's like a Tal Shiar boogeyman that they tell new recruits or children, to keep them in line.
What?
Well, every organization is going to have stories about,
I guess. I mean, I don't think the CIA tells recruits about a deeper organization.
To scare them? I don't know. Are you in the CIA? Do you know?
Okay, let's move. Okay, so tell me about the Zhat Vash.
Okay, so Jaban dismisses them. He's like, no, it's just boogeymen.
Okay.
Right? And Lars is like, no. The Tal Shiar is in fact a cover or a mask for the Zhat Vash.
What?
Yeah, the Tal Shiar is a front for the Zhat Vash.
The Tal Shiar have been
the
all over the place doing stuff. What do you mean it's a cover for the Zhat Vash?
Well, they work secretly, like, behind the Tal Shiar.
See, this is just like the more dumb writing I'm talking about. Like, they couldn't just be like, it was the Tal Shiar. No.
Everybody knows
more
the Tal Shiar.
Yeah, it's more secret than the Tal Shiar. It's got to be the Zhat Vash, this new thing we just invented. And
we find out.
And why the heck if it's such a deep secret organization, why does Laris know who it is? Who's working on a
she found out from
taking
her
care
parents.
of Picard. She found out from her parents.
Mm-hmm. Like, she tells us in a way that it's like she refers to her mom as her mentor first, and then like Jaban says like it was her mom, and so we find out that basically, they're Romulans. They're all involved in secret stuff, so they know things.
No, they don't.
That's some racist nonsense right there. They're all Romulans. They're all in the super secret stuff. They're all ninjas.
Have you seen Star Trek?
Very little.
Yes, I have seen it, but that's again like
when have you seen a Romulan on Star Trek? By the way, I remind you, this is a fictional race.
Yeah. Still.
When have you ever seen a Romulan that wasn't keeping a secret?
I've seen a couple Romulans not keeping secrets.
Name one.
I can't name them.
Oh, okay.
I can describe them.
Oh. He had pointy ears and a bad haircut.
No, I mean like the episodes. Like there's a lot of DS9 stuff during the Dominion War at the end where the Romulan, head person wasn't keeping secrets.
Even when they're working with the Federation, they're still keeping secrets.
Well, so's the Federation. But you don't go around saying everyone in the Federation is sneaky and stuff.
Everybody in Starfleet is.
No, they're not.
Everybody that's higher than captain.
Okay. I would argue this point, but that's only because I can't think of a good counterexample at the moment.
So you can't argue the point. Anyway, we find out that Zhat Vash is a term used for it to refer to the dead, right? Because the dead are the, quote, the only reliable keepers of secrets.
Oh, geez.
So that's why they took that name. Because they're secret.
Yeah, because they're super, super secret. Then Laris knows about them.
Well, again, they're space drow. I mean, yeah, that's just it. They're so edgy. They're named after dead people.
She also knows that their sole purpose, the Zhat Vash, their sole purpose is, again, quote, to keep a secret so profound and terrible, just learning it can break a person's mind.
Okay, back up a second. This is getting ridiculous. If they are so super secret, how does Loris know so much about them? Not only does she know
She learned from her parents.
Knows that they exist, but even knows why their purpose and is super confident that she knows this. Why?
I think you could probably piece something together for that.
Okay, so let me piece this together.
She's a Romulan ninja.
She learned from her parents.
She learned from her parents that the Zhat Vash were real, so her parents were the Zhat Vash, but she actually called them her mentors first.
Oh, right? Dustin, I'm facepalming. You're so close here.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to
that. Okay, we better. Okay.
Something's up with Loris.
Yes.
We know this. And her parents.
Oh, my God. Okay.
And we know that she has an unfavorable relationship with them.
With
how
her
she
parents.
refers to them. Yes.
Okay. Who she originally referred to her mom as a mentor.
Her mom as her mentor and her father as an alcoholic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So it's from them she learned about the Zhat Vash and their sole purpose to keep a secret so profound and terrible. Just learning about it can break a person's mind.
Yeah. This sounds like edgy teenager backstory right here.
Right.
Cut to
if I knew a secret like that, I wouldn't tell my kids about it. Like that if it could break them. But anyways, that's just me.
Cut to Daj's apartment.
Okay.
Loris and Picard are there.
All right.
They're investigating.
Okay.
And so it looks like nothing happened though. Everything's nice and tidy.
So did the Federation security guards come in and already clean it up?
Oh, if only it were that simple.
Okay.
Loris ponders if, based on the cleanliness of things, she wonders if the boyfriend was actually killed there, right? Because there's no sign of any kind of foul play.
Well, yeah, there's no sign of foul play. Obviously, this must be foul play.
It sounds like they're gaslighting Picard to me. Like,
yeah, I mean,
there's sure you met a person named Daj?
Yeah, if there's no sign of foul play, obviously there must be foul play going on.
Well, they continue investigating, but not before cutting back to Chateau Picard.
Okay,
where Picard asks Loris, "What is this dread secret that the Zhat Vash are keeping?"
Wait, why are we time traveling? Hop in here.
It's a weird, like they're constantly cutting back and forth between these two scenes for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a bit disorienting.
Must be very autistic.
Okay. Well, we're just cutting back and forth between two different conversations between the same people.
I know, but that's still weird.
It's just in one scene they're talking about the Zhat Vash, and in the other scene they're talking about the Zhat Vash.
Okay. All right.
And investigating the apartments.
Yeah.
So anyway, Picard asks, this is at the chateau. Picard is asking, what is the dread secret that the Zhat Vash keeps?
Heaven help me if Loris knows what it is.
Loris says, no one knows for sure.
Okay.
But I've heard whispers.
Oh, God. That's not
Cut back to the apartment. Cut back to the apartment. Loris is scanning the room with like this Romulan technology thing, right? And Picard makes an offhand comment. He's like, Romulan forensic molecular reconstruction technology is outlawed in the Federation.
Why?
He also goes on. He's like, it's not very reliable. And then her response is, "That's
so." You said it's not very reliable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Laura says, "That's just what we want you to think." Yep. By the way,
no one in the Federation was like, "Hey, they say it's not reliable," or imply it. No engineer, none of those famed Federation engineers on every starship was like, "I think I'll fiddle with this and see what I can do," and then realize that actually it is more reliable. And second of all, why would it be banned if it was unreliable? Like, I could see people saying, is banned from being used as evidence against you. Like,
well, it's Romulan.
Well, I know you don't ban them just because it's Romulan.
Federation at the end of the 24th century does.
Apparently, I'm just saying, like, it would make sense if the analogy was like a lie detector test. Lie detector tests aren't actually reliable, so you can't use them in court. But they're still legal to have. People can still take them and use them.
Darn it, Dustin! Why won't you just buy Federation? Stop buying foreign imported technology and just buy Federation products.
Well, it could be a Federation
great
product.
Again.
An engineer could reverse engineer it and make a reliable one. And no one in the Federation of dozens of planets ever thought to try that?
I'm sure those were all the same engineers who were busy trying to figure out Romulan cloaking technology.
Well, cloaking technology is actually banned and is not allowed to be researched, and they do in a lot of episodes go into kind of hints about why.
Yeah, so I wonder why any other Romulan technology would be in the same category.
But the reason is because the reason the cloaking device is banned isn't because it's unreliable. It's because it's considered an aggressive. No, it's because it's considered an aggressive weapon. Whatever this. Okay. Anyways, I don't even know what this thing is. I just think that the reason why the Romulan has it and the Federation doesn't is stupid. But what does it do exactly?
It's forensic molecular reconstruction. She scans the room.
Those are words.
Yes, they are. She scans the room.
Okay.
And we get an image of what happened in that first scene that we saw with Dodge and her boyfriend.
An image?
Yeah, it's like a holographic image and it moves in real time. Like we see what happened. It's like an after effect or a residue of what happened. Right? Forensic molecular reconstruction.
It's a device that can reconstruct what happened in a room at a certain point in time, up to possibly 2 days ago.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I will suspend my disbelief for a moment.
It's a science fiction show.
It's a science fiction show. It's just, here's a piece of technology, and hey, you never know. We might bring it back up, and there might be some cool stuff about it that comes in handy. So I'm just going to suspend my disbelief for a moment. All right. So they scan it, and they can see everything that happens.
Yeah, so like we actually see the same sequence of events where the boyfriend gets up to go over to the replicator, and then Picard kind of glance over, sees Dodge looking all happy on the couch. But then as the boyfriend, like whatever the line was he said in the first episode at the replicator, he says that same line, but then the image goes out, it disappears, and Laris seems confused, right? But first, cut back to Chateau Picard.
This is very confusing. Okay.
We find out they're talking about there's something that the Zhat Vash absolutely loathe.
The Federation?
No. Remember, they have this secret that's so profound, right? They know something and they hate it, right? There's something they absolutely hate.
Okay.
Right. And they talk about this. And this is the moment where we find out that Laris learned this from her parents. Right. Okay. And then cut back to the apartment. That's when we find out that some of the traces in the apartment were erased, and Laris she's kind of impressed. She's like, "Oh, those cheeky right?" She says that.
She said,
"Yep."
You know,
earning that MA rating.
Yeah, they slipped one F-bomb into Discovery. Now they think they can just do it all the time.
Sure.
All right.
Right, so she's like impressed at their craftiness, right? Their sneakiness, she says that they had.
Laris is clearly a spy. If she knows this much and has this much technology, she's clearly a spy.
She's a pretty standard Romulan housekeeper, Dustin.
Yeah,
banned Romulan technology and swear words and knowledge of super secret, double secret agencies. Very standard Romulan housekeeper.
Like I said, when have you ever seen a Romulan that didn't have secrets?
I have seen Romulans without secrets.
Not very good at keeping them, though, are they? If housekeepers have them.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So I'm guessing.
Anyway, we find out that whoever did this had overwritten the particle residuum, and they used anti-leptons.
God damn it!
Right, basically they they erased even this very kind of base level residue that's hard to erase.
Okay.
Nope, gotta let it go.
And
You're
then
giving
what
them a
happens?
pass.
And then what happens?
Let's see. They talk. So they're continuing to jump back, and I'm not going to say every cut anymore.
Okay.
But we find out that the Zhat Vash operate everywhere. They've been around they've kept this secret for thousands upon thousands of years.
That a housekeeper happens to know.
Yes.
Mhm. Even back when they were Vulcans, you mean?
When did they split? Was that thousands and thousands of years ago?
Adam, we don't talk about the lore like that.
Oh, okay.
They can't remember what happened 20 years ago. Okay.
Okay.
Who, the Vulcans or the Romulans?
The people who write Star Trek.
Oh.
So they're going jumping back and forth. Zhat Vash everywhere. They're secret for
thousands upon thousands of years. Right. That's how long they've kept this secret. Also, Laris mentions, she's like, haven't you ever noticed that there's a complete absence of artificial life in Romulan culture?
No.
Like she mentions that there is absolutely no artificial intelligence or artificial life is the phrase they use in Romulan culture. She even goes as far as to say that all their computers are for numerical functions only.
All computers are for numerical functions only.
Right. So Romulans apparently have no AI.
So the Romulans have no AI
or artificial life.
And
I guess
the Zhat Vash are everywhere and are enforcing this anti-AI thing that no one else had noticed up until now. Here's the thing. It makes sense that Picard would not notice that because the Romulans are actually really secretive and only started interacting again with the Federation like 27, 28 years before this show started. So it's like, no, he of course he didn't notice. Like, why
Also,
would he?
Dustin.
Yeah.
Computer status report.
According to the internet, the Romulans separated from the Vulcans during the Time of Awakening, which was the 4th century AD in the Terran calendar. So not even 2,000 years ago.
Oh,
Okay.
Wow. Thousands.
Thousands of years ago.
I guess because we refer to like decimals as a plural. So maybe it's like half thousand. There's 4 of those. That would be thousands upon
That'd be thousands. I wouldn't call it thousands upon thousands of years because
it's like they're sitting on top of each other.
Yeah.
Well,
So
again,
simple
that would be
stacking.
more than 2,000. Anyways, bad dialogue, bad lore.
Right.
I want to know what happens in the scene in the apartment, what the purpose of that apartment scene is.
Oh, we'll get to that. But first, we have to find out that the Zhat Vash not only just dislike artificial life of all kinds, of all types, kinds, whatever. Not only do they just dislike it, they hate and fear and have a pure loathing for any form of synthetic life.
The Zhat Vash do.
The Zhat Vash. Because of this secret that they know.
Okay.
This is whatever. This is, I mean, it's kind of dumb to me that you would have a spacefaring race. You have really advanced ships. I mean, you're using some form of AI to be running your stuff at this point.
Nope. Just hamsters on wheels, dude.
Numerical functions only, Dustin.
Numerical functions only. Obviously,
zeros.
there's no... Okay. As a person with a computer science degree, I understand that the term AI can change, but artificial intelligence in several instances just means your computer can learn. Somehow it has some kind of learning algorithm. So, like, when you say AI, like, how do they draw that level between numerical functions and whatever thing they're doing? It's... Anyways, okay. It's bad sci-fi.
I'm saying like this is asking about. That's kind of like asking about the line between, where is it just an algorithm and where is it actually consciousness?
Yes, but I'm not part of an organization that says we actively hate consciousness.
No, artificial
consciousness. Because if I was, you would expect me to be able to define the difference between complex algorithms and artificial consciousness, right? Like, so it makes no sense to me that there's an organization that hates this thing that they can't even really define, and it has apparently existed for thousands of years.
So do you think that in order to hate something, you have to know enough about it to be able to clearly define it?
If you're then going to use the thing that you're okay with, yeah.
I don't know if you heard me pour my third glass of wine, Dustin.
Okay. So they hate and fear artificial intelligence.
They absolutely loathe it.
Somewhere, I bet.
And have for thousands upon thousands of years.
Yeah. Yes.
Somewhere, I bet if we went back through TNG, we could find like a Romulan who meets Data and is like, you know.
Well, not all Romulans.
We could
hashtag not all Romulans, Dustin.
Hashtag not all Romulans. I thought. Now wait a minute. You just
the Zhat Vash.
They're all secretive, but they're not all okay. All right. Just the Zhat Vash hate
Just
them.
the Zhat Vash hate it,
but they
and
also
because of that,
it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right.
But that doesn't mean everybody hates artificial life.
Okay.
Maybe that's why we do see. I think we do see some Romulans reacting in a sort of amazed way at Data, don't we?
I mean, I would assume there'd be lots of species who would be amazed at a
That's true.
working conscious robot.
That's true. Data was kind of the first one.
Yeah, so
I don't know who's the first one.
We don't talk about lore.
Yeah, we don't talk about lore. They clearly do not know lore.
But before is a thing.
Yes.
Because Nemesis.
It was in the movie.
Yeah. Anyway, we're back at the apartment.
What?
Oh Lord!
What's going on with this apartment?
So Laris is like I said, she's amazed that that whoever did this was so crafty, and they're like, well, there has to be something, right? The way they did this, they must have overlooked something, right? There has to be some overlooked clue, like, and she says this is a quote, like a quote, an actual clue that lay tucked inside a false clue, as it were.
What?
I don't know what that means either.
An actual clue, like a riddle wrapped.
Like she does. I don't remember the line. I didn't write it down because it was very confusing the way she said it. But she does, like, whatever the line was.
She doesn't go into like some kind of technobabble or anything.
I wish I'd written it down. I don't think it's technobabble, but I could be wrong. Okay. But like basically, it doesn't make any sense because it all culminates in the line that they have to look for an actual clue that's hidden inside a false clue. And then Picard picks up something off of the desk he's standing next to and says something like this, for example.
Picard saving the day.
And so what he picked up, I guess it's like a computer, but picture the infrared receiver for like the Nintendo Wii.
Okay.
But like 4 times the size.
All right.
That's what it looks like.
Sure.
Right, and kind of more Star Trek stylized.
Yeah.
But it's a computer, right? And you turn it on, it's a graphic display.
Okay.
Right, and you can see through from both sides. Hologram, hollow.
Yeah, holographic. Yeah.
And so they're looking at it, and it's got like all these communication records of Daj. But it looks like they even kind of went through everything here because everything has been, quote, surgically deleted.
How would they know that?
Well, how surgical it was.
Laris is like searching through the computer, and she's like, "Oh, all the information's here, but it's all identical. Like they went through, they scrubbed it."
What do you mean identical?
Like there's no distinctive information within each packet of information. It all looks the same because they went through, they scrubbed it, right? They kind of wiped everything.
When you scrub it, communication records, you just get rid of the record that is incriminating. You don't scrub individual packets.
Not when you're Romulan, you don't.
I guess.
But she does. She says that they surgically deleted everything.
God. When you only use numerical systems. When you're numerical systems, that's how it works.
Yeah, and that all the information that's left is, quote, qualitatively agnostic.
Oh my God.
Sounds like a way that a dumb person is trying to sound smart when saying, I can't find anything.
But it's not my fault because all the data is qualitatively agnostic.
So is that the end of the apartment scene?
No,
Okay.
there's one little bit.
Okay.
So basically, they end up figuring out that if Daj has an identical twin sister and they were in contact
Forgot
with
how-
each other,
Yeah.
right? Because they come in pairs,
Mm-hmm.
right? The twins.
Yeah. I remember. Don't bait me. Keep going.
Okay. So they find out that they basically conclude that if the sister had contacted Daj,
Mhm.
and because they are completely identical, then at some point the computer would have mistaken the sister for Daj. And that's the clue that would have been overlooked. So they end up looking for incoming calls that the computer thinks Daj is making, but it's really her sister.
Oh my god.
And they find it.
Because apparently they don't have login IDs in the future.
Nope.
Well, all you do when you turn on the system, you're like, oh, hello, or you know what.
Yeah, this is.
And the computer says, I know who you are, right?
Right.
Apparently the computer did this with the sister and didn't realize it. And then neither did the Jat Vash when they wiped everything clean.
So the Jat Vash didn't think, oh, hey, by the way, we hate artificial intelligence, and these two androids that we're going after are going to look the same. They didn't think to say, hey, if somebody's talking to themselves, delete that too.
No.
Okay, so do they get an actual clue at this apartment?
Yes. We find out that the sister is not on Earth. Dramatic music cue. Cut to a different scene.
Okay.
We're at the Borg cube.
Okay. So I'm sorry, is that the end of the apartment scene?
Yes.
Okay, because we need to back up and explore this. Because I didn't want to go off on a rant before I knew what happened, but I was suspecting this. So
Okay.
to be clear, what just happened in this apartment? They invented a brand new technology, invented a BS reason why the Federation doesn't have it, only to come up with another BS reason of why it didn't work.
Yep,
Why
so-
didn't they just go straight to the communication scene? This is
because we have to find out that the Jat Vash they dot their I's and cross their T's, Dustin.
I mean, this is just super lazy writing.
But they don't put the little hashes in the queue. That's the part they usually forget about.
Right? I mean, they're just inventing reasons. Like, if you wanted to do something, it could just be like, hey, they really scrubbed down the electronic records, but, Picard finds a physical, evidence that was overlooked, Like, there's a lot of ways you could do that. And everything else about that scene is pointless. It's just pointless filler. And I really hate that when we're in such a golden age of television streaming where you can tell these longer stories, and instead of writers like using that time to tell these really cool stuff like the first few seasons of Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, they just write one story and just extend it out to to be full of fluff. That's the thing,
Dustin, is you're getting confused because the golden age of television ended with season 4 of Game of Thrones.
Okay, well, I'm not. That's not an argument I care to have. So,
join us next week for our new Game of Thrones analysis, or next month, or whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, we're at the Borg cube.
Yeah.
We have Narek and Soji. Right. Remember, Narek is the Romulan with the beard.
Yes, the hot Romulan with the beard.
So bad.
The one that looks like
Theon Greyjoy.
Theon Greyjoy, thank you. And then Soji is the twin sister, played by the same actress.
Okay.
Right, because they're identical.
Because they're twins.
And they're in bed together.
Oh, well, okay then.
Yeah,
well,
and they're
that
talking.
Escalated quickly.
Yeah, they're having pillow talk. Soji is talking about how she thinks that the artifact is beautiful, right? And then Narek is like, oh, it's just a little wrecked Borg cube. And like Soji is like, no. She finds beauty in things that are vulnerable and broken, right?
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
What in the hell?
I mean, even for a robot, we can't get away from the feminine tropes.
Android.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's not a robot.
And she's a robot until proven otherwise.
She's an android. She's a
Android.
person robot.
Right.
Robo person.
She's not a robot. She's not synth. She's an android. All right.
Technically a gynoid, I believe, but whatever. Carry on.
Anywho.
Okay, so they're in bed. They're talking about the art. Soji thinks it's beautiful. Narek thinks it's like, eh. And then like it turns out it's time they have to get ready to go to work. So they get up, they start putting their clothes on. And basically the whole point of this scene is Daj is trying to get information out of Narek. Like anything. She's just asking for him to tell her anything about himself. And he's always like dodging with clever quips and being flirtatious.
Wow, this guy's been to the bar before. All right.
Right, and she's into it. She's completely into this.
Gross.
Yeah.
He's so mysterious. God, this writing.
So anyway, she's got to go to work. Narek mentions that he'll see her there, right at the checkpoint where they all enter the area.
Okay, so refreshing my memory, this is all happening on the board cube itself, or are they like?
Yeah, they're like living.
Ship?
No, they're like living in quarters on the.
Okay.
As far as I know, yeah, they're on the cube because it shows like the camera zooms into the cube and stuff.
All right, so they're going from one part of the board cube to another. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But a less safe part.
All right. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense.
So Narek mentions that he'll see her at the checkpoint to enter, and she's like, "Oh, really?" Anyway, then it cuts to Chateau Picard.
I mean, why are they hiding their relationship for some reason?
Oh yeah, they have to keep that secret. Like she asks, "Like, is this secret?" And he's like, "Yes, absolutely."
Why?
Otherwise, his wife would find out.
I mean, does he have a wife?
Oh, we don't know. He doesn't give any information.
Okay, so he's very mysterious, and for some reason, she's into it.
And she's even like,
she's acting like she's into it.
She's like, "Is Narek your real name?" He's like, "It's one of them." And she's like, "Can you tell me anything?" And he's like, "I'm not at liberty to divulge that." Right? Yeah, it's
wow.
Anyway, back at Chateau Picard.
Yeah.
We have Picard.
I'm agreeing with the chat room. He's a piece of shit, and he needs to leave. She needs to leave him. Sorry. Hey, go on, Brian.
No, I agree. Anyway, so Picard's there. He's meeting with his doctor. And fact checker, I'd like you to check this name for me.
Sure thing.
It's Moritz is the first name, Moritz. And his last name is Benayoun, Benayoun. All I get from this is that they served on the Stargazer together, but I don't know if he shows up any other.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun. Okay.
So he meets with his doctor because he wanted to have a remote med scan done to be certified to be fit for interstellar service.
Wait,
because he needs to go find the twin sister, so he needs to be declared fit, healthy enough to travel.
Okay.
Right.
Why?
And Starfleet regulations.
Wait, he's going to travel with Starfleet?
Yeah, we find that out soon. That's his plan. He's going to try to ask Starfleet if he can take a ship for, this little personal mission he wants to do.
I mean, if I was in his position, the government was willing to lend me a ship, I'd take it. I'd rather.
I mean, he is a retired admiral of very high distinction.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it would seem to me if you want a ship, you just book passage like a normal person, but that's just me.
Yeah, but this is an important secret mission.
Okay.
An important secret mission.
Computer status report.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Moritz Benayoun was, in fact, an old colleague of Jean-Luc Picard. They both served together aboard the USS Stargazer.
Does he show up in the series at all?
Let us see. In the original TNG?
Yeah. Because he kind of looks familiar, but I wasn't sure. Like, it's one of those, I'm not sure if it's a cameo. Because they sneak a couple of those in there.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to get certified for interstellar service. Right?
Okay.
And then the doctor, like, he offers the doctor, he's got a tray of tea. And the doctor kind of looks at Picard, right? Because, I skipped over this. Normally you would do a remote med scan. and then you get your results that way. But after the doctor saw the results of the remote med scan, he made a house call, right? And we get this moment where Picard like offers him tea, and the doctor's like, "You might want something stronger," right? And then we cut away momentarily.
Okay.
Actually, that's the end of Act 1. So now we go on to Act 2.
Okay. Also, no, this guy was never in Star Trek.
That's a shame.
Other than that, this particular episode, he has not been in Star Trek, as far as I can discern.
So I gotta imagine, like, why didn't he call up Beverly?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a very good question.
Yes, it is.
I wonder what's going on with the other members of the Enterprise crew.
Well, I mean, I bring up Beverly because they always seem to have some kind of thing going on, and even if that didn't become romantic, you would think they had a very close relationship, that if he needed a favor from a doctor, he'd call up Beverly.
Maybe they had a falling out.
I guess. All right.
Maybe she's not around anymore. We don't know. We haven't heard anything about it.
All right.
Maybe Wesley finally snapped.
Isn't Wesley off traveling the galaxy?
He came back. He came back.
In this series? Or are you talking about?
I don't know.
This?
I'm speculating.
Okay. All right. So
I wouldn't put it past him. Dude's been traumatized. He almost got executed.
Wesley?
Yeah, for falling into a patch of flowers.
Yeah, but he became a mind traveling space guy.
Don't deny his trauma, Dustin. Just because you didn't experience it.
I'm just saying, he's probably over it.
You assume.
I mean,
trauma takes many forms, Dustin.
Is there implication that he came back and snapped?
Not in the time span we see him.
Okay, so we do see him in this series.
Oh no, I meant in TNG.
Oh, for crying out loud!
I already told you, Dustin. I'm speculating.
Yeah. Okay. So this whole discussion is pointless.
Yeah.
Anyways,
what are we even doing here?
Anyway, so Act 2, we begin with the Doctor and Picard, right where we left them.
Yeah.
And basically, the Doctor explains to Picard that he's in excellent shape. He says, "For a relic, you're in excellent shape." Right? Picard chuckles.
Oh, wow. That's ages. Hey, despite being old.
Then the Doctor's also old. Old people are allowed to call other old people old.
I guess.
Because they've all been there. Anyway, so he says, "You're in excellent shape. There's just that little abnormality on the parietal."
The parietal what?
The parietal lobe. Apparently, Picard's got an abnormality in his brain, Dustin. I wonder what that could mean.
Oh, they're actually going to bring up the Ironic syndrome, huh?
Not by name.
Okay.
You got brain stuff.
Yeah. You have an abnormality on your brain. Oh, okay. Because they didn't want to alienate people by inventing a new disease, so they just want to apply as cancer. Got it.
What?
Well, I'm just saying an abnormality on the brain, and if it wasn't a sci-fi show, people might imply that it's like you have a tumor.
Well, they highly suggest, or what's the word? Like they heavily imply. Like for people who know the series, they know what's being referenced here.
Yeah. So why are they implying it instead of just saying it?
I don't know. Maybe it's bed manners, bedside manners.
We spent all this time in a pointless apartment scene where all we learned was that not Dodge is off planet and that RS is super spy, but we can't take a second to say Ironic syndrome.
No.
We got too much time. No time for that. We got to be qualitatively agnostic.
Yeah.
For thousands upon thousands of years.
Yeah.
But no, it's heavily implied that this is what they're getting at. The doctor's like, have you had symptoms like loss of appetite, mood swings, unsettling dreams, inappropriate displays of anger on interplanetary news hollows,
He does not say that.
He does.
It's a very
Okay.
specific symptom.
That is obviously he's baiting Picard. Got it.
Remember that interview? That
Yeah, I
happened?
remember. Yes, I remember the interview. It took us like 3 hours to get through that interview. Please don't bring it up again.
Sounds familiar. Anyway, so they decide. The doctor says we need to run more tests,
Okay.
right? Because they don't. He doesn't want to say that that's what it is
Mhm.
before they know for sure.
Okay.
That's why they don't say the words Uromatic syndrome.
Whatever.
Well, see, doctors do that. That's a thing.
No, they don't.
You don't want to give. You don't want to tell them that they have this thing before you know for sure that they have this thing.
You tell them you
This is
suspect
what it
that they
is.
have the thing, so they can
Yeah.
promptly prepare themselves.
Picard
justify
knows
the
that
cost.
he suspects it. They know. There's eye contact. There's significant looks between the two. We know that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And
So
another
they
thing,
need to run
like,
more tests.
he was
Picard
not
asks-
irrationally angry on that interview. He was being, that's
Inappropriate, not irrational.
or he wasn't being inappropriately angry. He was told this interview was about one thing and she was talking about something else. His anger was justified.
Yeah, but he lost his temper and stormed off.
So people
That's
do that
inappropriate.
all the time. It's not inappropriate.
It is when
Nope.
you're Picard.
Like inappropriate
Me-
anger
No,
is like
this is Picard, Dustin. He should be able to diplomatically talk his way out of any situation,
I mean,
not storm off in anger.
okay, there's a difference between inappropriate anger and, I lost my temper or or having a short temper. When you say something you're inappropriately angry, it's like I told you something that was good news or something that should make you happy and then you get angry about it. That's inappropriately angry.
Well, we got to look at things relatively, Dustin.
Okay, let's
Right?
move
This
on.
isn't just any person we're talking about. This isn't you we're talking about.
You
This
are
is
well
John-
known for your explosions on popular television shows.
This is
Yeah,
Jean-Luc
right.
Picard, right? We
Okay,
got to hold him to
yeah.
a higher standard.
Can't
Whatever,
do
they're
that.
gaslighting him. Move on.
Right. Okay.
He asked the doctor, "Well, what's your prognosis?" Right? Because they know what it is.
Mhm.
It doesn't need saying. And so the doctor's like, "Well,"
They're not even going to show or tell. Just move on.
the doctor says, "Well, they all basically, all these cases end the same way. Some sooner than others."
Wait, I thought he wasn't saying what it was because he doesn't know.
Well, they don't outright say. I was speculating.
But so then he goes on to say he won't tell him what it is, but then says, "Oh, but
No,
it's going to
been
kill
saying
you."
this whole time that both of them know what they're talking about, so they don't need to say it.
Okay. Oh my goodness. All right.
Keep in mind, this is a traumatized Picard with a lot of baggage in his past, and so he has fears. Dustin, he has anxieties about his future.
What-
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to lose his mind. And
He's 93, but okay. Well, can we please move on? This is
okay. So anyway, Picard says all he needs is that the doctor just certify him for interstellar service, but he won't tell the doctor why. And it's basically the doctor finally agrees because he's like, you got to be crazy to go out there into the cold again. But if you're lucky, if something happens to you, if you're lucky, you'll die out there first, basically. Right? He's like, if you're lucky, something will happen to you first. Implying that it's better to risk your life and go on this dangerous mission in space than to sit around and wait for this dementia to kill you.
That's a well-known trait of doctors to encourage their patients to go into life-threatening situations to avoid treatment.
Well, who's going to say no to Picard?
Everyone.
Not his
They're
doctor.
I'm pretty sure they're about to, aren't they?
hey, spoilers.
You will
All
be
right.
right.
Oh, all right. Let's go on. So the doctor tells him, "Hey, you have dementia, but you're a-okay for military service because hopefully you'll get yourself killed so you don't die in your bed."
Better than losing your mind. I'd rather die in an accident than.
I
go
don't
crazy.
want to get into a philosophical discussion about this. So
Okay. Dustin chickens out of the heavy conversations. Uh,
well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, does the series actually discuss that? Because it would be interesting if they kind of leaned into it and the idea that Picard
I feel like that's what they're setting up for.
So that would be interesting. They're implying in Picard's just kind of making up this mission because he wants to die and doesn't want to go out the way this other thing's going to kill him.
That seems like the direction a competent story would go in.
Yes, it would. But however, that was an odd way of phrasing that, Brian.
Is it though? Is it really odd?
So,
San Francisco.
Back
here. Picard is at Starfleet headquarters.
Yeah, right.
He walks into Starfleet headquarters. He goes up to the front desk. The desk man doesn't recognize him, right? He asks for his name. And he's like, "Oh, my name is Picard, Picard, Jean-Luc." And the desk man is like, yeah. And the desk man is like, oh, yes, of course. Good to see you up and about, right?
What?
Yeah, he says it. He's like, good to see you up and about, Admiral.
Okay.
Because he knows his name. He recognizes the name. He's like, oh, you look like. Or maybe he's old. I don't recognize him when he's old. I don't watch Hollow TV shows, so he didn't see the interview.
I like how he's both all right, anyways. It's like from scene to we should start keeping track from scene to scene where it's implied that he's famous, and then in the next scene it's implied that he's a nobody.
I hope you have a lot of paper.
I'm just saying this is a trope that I'm just noticing. Like, because with the Dodge, it was like she both didn't know him and recognized him at the same time. But now this is becoming this could be becoming a bit of a trope. So anyways.
So Picard has an appointment to meet with Admiral Kirsten Clancy. That's her name.
Clancy. Okay.
Kirsten Clancy. I don't recognize her.
Okay.
But she's an admiral.
Okay.
She's top brass, because Picard goes straight to her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Calls her by name, Kirsten.
Okay.
So he doesn't call her my dear, is what you're saying.
He doesn't salute her
not this lady. She's behind a desk.
Say Admiral. Doesn't address her as Admiral.
Well, no, they're on a first name basis.
Okay, so they know.
They're both top brass, except Picard's retired. So Picard goes and meets with Kirsten.
Okay.
And he talks to her about Bruce Maddox, right? And he just straight up, she's like, tell me everything, right? And he's like, well, I think Bruce Maddox is creating a new organic synthetics with Data's neurons, right? He tells her everything, right? And she's like, oh. And then he's like, and I think the Romulans are involved. And she's like, oh. Right? And like, she's not buying this.
Well, you know what?
She's like, pull the other one.
Perfectly rational of her. Like, so far, she's my favorite character. She doesn't instantly believe a very outrageous sounding story.
So he just straight up blurts it out. He kind of keeps going. So there's like a whole monologue that he goes on where he tells her about Bruce Maddox and the Romulans are involved. And he says he wants to be reinstated. And he thinks that based on his years of service, he should be allowed to be reinstated temporarily for one mission.
Yeah, that's how that works. That's how that works in the military.
All he wants is a small warp-capable recon ship with a small crew.
Okay.
And he says that, well, if my rank is too conspicuous, then I'll accept a demotion to captain if you think that'll be necessary.
That's like several demotions, really.
I mean, yeah, we don't know how low he went.
And then she kind of looks at him. Like, you can tell. It's just a moment, but you can tell just by the look on her face. Yeah. And then she's just like, sheer fucking hubris.
Okay, so she's just... Wait, does she actually say...
She says that. That is a direct
another
quote.
F-bomb?
Yes.
Nice.
Looking Picard directly in the eye.
She is now my favorite character in all of this.
Sheer hubris.
Wow. That Admiral's just...
And then she completely rips him a new one.
Swearing like a space sailor.
Right? And then she goes off on a rant and like, basically puts Picard in his place. Talking about how, 14 species in the Federation threatened to cut ties, to pull out of the Federation if they didn't cut the Romulans loose.
What?
Yeah. 14 member species of the Federation threatened to pull out if they tried to help the Romulans after the supernova.
Okay.
Right. So that's why she explains that's why the Federation stopped helping the Romulans, because she wasn't about to let the Federation implode because
it was her specific decision not to do this.
well, her and whoever else, she's top brass.
I mean, they're top brass, but they're military. They don't set the agenda. You would expect
This is
the
Starfleet, Dustin.
I know it's Starfleet, but you would expect the Federation Council would say, you know, an operation that big, we are going to do this or we're not going to do this. Like,
Well, apparently that's the case.
Yeah.
Basically,
So,
no, she's just explaining the justification for why the Federation decided to stop offering help to the Romulans. It's because if they did, they would have lost a bunch of members, and the Federation would have risked imploding on itself.
All right. Well, so we do need to back up a second. I try to unpack this again because I felt like last time we covered this, but we need to cover it again. So 14 species threatened to leave the Federation if they didn't cut the Romulans loose. But again, the timeline of this isn't making sense to me. Did those 14 species always threaten to leave the Federation, or did they wait until there was an emergency on Mars and then decided that they were going to pull out if we don't cut the Romulans loose, as you said?
It appears they waited until the emergency.
So again, why were these?
I don't know. They don't give an explanation.
Mars is in the human solar system, so why were these species so bent on letting the Romulans die after an industrial accident on a planet extremely far from their own solar system? Why was that?
Earth is like the center of, it's like the headquarters of the Federation.
I understand it's the headquarters of the Federation.
So Mars is like the major port right there.
I know. But I'm trying to understand why they were so dead set against helping the Romulans after that industrial accident.
Because xenophobia and racism.
Why?
Make the Federation great again.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me because those species were like, well, we're just going to pull out of the Federation. It wasn't your planet. I mean, what are they afraid of losing?
Well,
and why would they get xenophobic because of an industrial accident?
It was an attack, Dustin.
By a bunch of rogue, possibly sentient synths.
Yeah.
Not by the Romulans. If it was the Romulans that attacked and it was widely known, then that would make sense. But as far as anyone knows, it was an industrial act. It was glorified industrial accident.
They lost the whole planet, Dustin. That's going to take some serious resources.
It's not a matter of resources.
It absolutely is. Everything's a matter of resources.
Not in future space communism.
Have you seen Star Trek?
Yes. Wait, they have one accident on Mars and it blows up or becomes uninhabitable and they have to move them. That doesn't preclude also helping the Romulans. They're really, at that point, their allies 8 or 9 short years ago, less than a decade ago, that were allies in a war.
Well, sure, but if you want to use the term allies,
okay, they fought on the same side. They were both fighting the same enemy in a war.
Okay,
it just doesn't make sense to me why this industrial accident was a catalyst for these species to say not help the Romulans. It does not follow. It doesn't make sense in my head.
Hey, all you need is any kind of tragedy or disaster to try to justify anything.
But instantly, it's like, oh, well, we can't help these. And worst of all, we're going to leave the Federation. So they were opportunistic. They were already xenophobic species in the Federation.
I don't know. All I know about them is that there are 14 of them.
They're okay. So let's move on.
Yeah. So Picard makes the argument that the Federation doesn't get to decide if a species gets to live or die, right? Referring to the Romulans. And then Admiral Clancy, she responds, we absolutely do. She makes that argument. She claims,
wow,
that in this situation, they had the right to make that choice, right? They didn't have enough ships. They lost a bunch of ships. They didn't have ships. They needed to spend money to rebuild, right? And Picard gets all indignant, stands up, and warns her that, "Oh, you are in peril. You are in great danger." Right? And then the Admiral is like, "No, there's no peril here. Only the delusions of a crazy old man."
I mean, I do like that line, but
Yep.
And then she tells Picard to go home, and that's the end of Act 2.
Okay. So first, I mean, I don't know. Were the writers clever enough to make the parallel that first she accuses Picard of hubris and then declares that they have the right to decide what species live or die?
That's a very good question.
I mean, that might be kind of clever. I will give them that. But this whole scenario
could also be just your basic double standard.
I mean, but I would assume the writers would be aware of that.
You assume things.
And then why is it the Romulans were going to live or die? Like, Romulans are still going to live. They have a full empire. They have other planets and solar systems, you would assume.
But not their home planet.
Right, but that doesn't mean the species itself is going to live or die. Like, even if they don't, even if the Federation
there's still a lot of people, though.
They're going to help.
There's still a lot of people that had to be relocated.
Yeah, I get that. And I'm just saying that even if every person on Romulus and Remus died, presumably there are Romulans in the rest of the space.
Okay, hold up. Back up a second.
Okay.
You're telling me
this time
the Romulans have another planet called Remus.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
They enslaved the Remans centuries ago.
What?
Yeah, there's a race called Remans, and they were enslaved by the Romulans. It was like
why would they have a Roman Empire reference for a space nation? Are they
because they're an empire?
Yeah, I get it, but why
and
specifically?
Romulus.
Yes, but why? I mean, I get it that apparently the schism happened around the same time as the fall of the Western Empire, apparently.
Why do they use Christian imagery in Neon Genesis Evangelion? These are all good questions.
That makes more sense than a space race that has no contact with humanity having a Roman Empire reference in their planets.
It's a coincidence.
Moving on. That is not how a coincidence works.
Yeah,
that's absolutely how coincidence.
That is legacy thing that we have to deal with in the Star Trek universe. That was not this show. So, but yeah, I do understand the kind of how silly that is.
So, Dustin, with our basic 4-act TV structure, I think this is the halfway point you envisioned.
Okay, so we're gonna take a little pause here, and I want to bring up a couple of things that came up in our last episode. So one thing I want to make, one little thing we need to fact check is that a couple of times we referred to Chateau Picard being burned down in the movie Nemesis. But as we all know, it was actually Star Trek Generations where that burned down. He was notified
as I was saying it too.
Yeah, he was notified while he was in the holodeck, promoting Worf.
Yeah, all your family heirlooms and artifacts are gone off screen.
Yeah,
okay, we can rebuild.
Yes, and then we had that awesome line. They say time is the fire in which we burn, and then gets Picard to let that dude go do his research. Anyways, so just want to bring that up.
My favorite is the line must be drawn here.
Oh, that's from the next movie.
Yeah, that's from First Contact.
The next one, Adam and I were having discussion about Star Trek technology and not following through with consequences of when you create new technology. And Adam brought up the episode where in TNG called Rascals, where they
I also love that it's called Rascals,
right?
I am not a Star Trek expert, but that's just friggin' hilarious.
Yeah, I don't follow the episode name, but I went back and rewatched the episode you're referring to, and yes, it was a accident that caused them to become kids, and they were able to make them adults because they had apparently the patterns from the previous time they were transported to help them reconstruct them.
Oh, that old trope.
Yeah, but your point, Adam, was they never really followed through that because it was essentially they had accidentally discovered a fountain of youth, and That's a good point. I wish series back then would have gone further into it or referenced it later. But the point I'm making about this and like new Trek stuff is they just invent super weapons that not accidents, just are literally they're inventing new stuff that can be used and repeated and then never follow through with their consequences.
Kind of like those things that the totally not secret agent Romulan housekeepers used earlier in this episode, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I
and we're never going to invent them. So I just want to.
My point is that those are not that dissimilar. That yes, that the writers throw something in there stupidly, but that's just the same thing as just because it was an accident in the show doesn't mean the writers didn't throw something in there, something that their technology could do that is never fully explored further.
Right.
It's exactly the same thing.
It's not exactly the same thing.
It's 103% the same thing.
It's not
and
the
that
same thing.
And that, Justin, is the secret that the double secret KGB Romulans are keeping.
The double secret CIA
Whatever.
KGB Romulan.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, just like so it could be conceived that they would have trouble recreating it, or that researching that could become banned because it was too risky to do, or there's ways. What my point is, you could invent something that which was the just a kind of brief premise on the show, and then put that back in you can put that genie back in the bottle if it was an accident. But when you outright invent new technology, then you always have to address why don't they just use that technology again? And that, I think, is the difference.
Why don't they just use the time turners?
Right, exactly, with Harry Potter. So
except in Star Trek, that would violate the temporal
the dater agnosticism regular.
The temporal prime directive.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're reaching for.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. I think you cut out. I didn't hear you. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So those were the two things I want to bring up. So Brian, how many pages notes are we in right now?
How many have we done?
Yeah.
4.
Okay. So halfway point of the episode, but only 4 pages of notes in. All right.
Good news. Act 2 is only 1 page.
Oh, well, all right.
Act 3, however, well, we'll get there.
Act 3 is numerically agnostic, so who knows?
No, this is very Gnostic.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anyway, so Act 3, we open at the Borg cube. We are at the checkpoint. There's a whole bunch of people like getting ready to go in and like go to their work zones. And we meet.
We want to keep the audience very grounded. I'll meet you at the checkpoint. Next scene, they're at the checkpoint.
Checkpoint.
Yeah.
So my question is, do they have cubicles in the Borg cube?
I'm not even past the third word on this page.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let you go. Just run forward.
Okay, so Daj walks up to this new character.
You mean not Daj?
Oh, you're right. Soji.
Yeah. No,
Soji walks up.
Not Soji, not Daj.
Sure. Soji walks up to a new character.
Okay.
We've never seen her before.
Okay.
Strikes up a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's being friendly.
Okay. Is this other character into it?
Yeah, they're chatting. She's nervous. It's her first day.
Oh, okay. All right.
Wait a minute. It's her first day.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of like new. This is like an introductory. Like they're getting ready to go into like a. There's a whole speech kind of thing, right? This is standard first day stuff. There's a whole bunch of new people.
So she arrived on the ship, and before he even.
Before the first day of work, she's sleeping with Nari.
Okay.
Right.
This guy who won't reveal anything about himself.
You spend a lot of time in space, Dustin. You get thirsty.
Okay. All right. Anywho,
even if Romulans are all you can get. So we have this new character. We don't know her name. Not yet, at least. Anyway, we find out that she was supposed to arrive 6 months ago.
Okay.
But apparently, the Romulan Free State had revoked her residency. Her residency was supposed to on the cube was supposed to start 6 months ago. It was while she was traveling here that the Romulan Free State revoked her residency just randomly with no explanation, and then later reinstated it with no explanation. So now she's here for her first day of work. That was very relevant information we got from this conversation with a character we don't know her name yet.
Okay, so what we learned was it was briefly revoked and then briefly reinstated.
We learned that Romulans do weird stuff with no explanation.
I mean, yes, that's
That's what literally all we take from this conversation.
okay.
Right, and we have no idea why. Anyway, they're getting ready to cross over into the gray zone in the cube.
Okay.
Right? And they have these little badges. We find out later they're called gradient badges. Right? And they kind of look like they go where your comm badge would go, but they look different.
Okay.
And like they're getting ready to cross into the gray zone, and they say like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You know, don't go in there without this turned on." And then like she pushes it and activates it, and nothing happens. But she's like, "Yeah, we'll be fine."
Okay.
So
does
anyway,
does it have like a light at least to indicate that it is on?
Yeah, there's a little beep.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's a little flash of that. Anyway, so now all the people are there getting ready. This guy, this Romulan, kind of on up above them all, kind of giving them the introductory orientation speech, right? Like, welcome, first day workers.
Okay.
And he calls them the guests of the Borg Artifact Research Institute, and he stresses that their safety is very important. Right?
Oh,
the Borg
okay.
cube is a very dangerous weapon, right? So stay in your designated research areas only. Don't touch anything that you don't personally know to be mundane, because it could be dangerous.
But aren't they there to research?
Yeah, but it's still
somebody.
it's a Borg cube, Dustin.
Something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with Borg technology. You don't know what.
How did this?
You don't know
Borg
where it's been.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, we're finding. Let's keep going. We're finding out all sorts of stuff about the Borg cube before I start poking holes in it.
Dodge dismisses this to the nervous coworker. Romulans are into drama, is what she says. She's reassuring the new character not to be scared by what the Romulan is saying, right? Romulan's like, be safe. Your safety is our concern. And Dodge says, no, you'll be fine.
I'm not sure what the point of this scene was.
They're going to work, Dustin.
I guess.
It's also to sort of to inform us as to Soji's character, which is at this point an idiot
and friendly.
Reckless.
And
in
Narik's
both
there.
personal and professional life, she is reckless.
Yeah, I did say idiot. So
So they see Narik. He's kind of off to the side, kind of watching things, right?
Okay.
And then the new girl, she's like, I didn't know Romulans could be so hot. And Dodge is like, me either.
is this character like a writer stand-in? Do you think? Like is that what that's? What's
I don't know.
happening right
I don't
now?
think we ever see her again.
Oh.
No. The Theon Greyjoy,
Oh,
Romulan
I said
McDouchefin.
Dodge again. It's Soji.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, to be fair, they are twins
That's true.
because you have to make two.
I guess.
Of course.
Yes. Well, what's funny is that they have to, use dialogue to justify Soji jumping into bed with this guy who she knows nothing about.
Yep, because
And
he's
being-
so hot.
Because he's so hot. So, of course, she's going to tolerate him, being all secretive and treating her like trash.
And he's smooth, Dustin. He's smooth.
Yes. Anywho.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Romulan continues on and mentions that, you might encounter former members of the collective, right? But it's okay. They're former members. So it's perfectly safe.
Okay.
And then the new girl is like, oh, you work with XBs?
XBs.
XBs with the letters. I had the captions on. The letters XB.
Yes, X-Borgs.
Right,
Yeah.
and Soji reassures her. He's like, no.
Also, it could be it's a probably a hive reference, like bees, the insect.
No, it's just the letter B.
Yeah, I get that, but never mind. Carry on.
I got what you're saying.
You got what you're picking up what I'm putting down. Carry on.
I was getting it. I still think
I'm picking up
it's-
this glass of wine. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
I just,
So the Romulan
teen
continues.
romance drama here.
And the last little bit of his orientation speech is to mention that, if your badge, your gradient badge, like you should be fine. But if your badge starts blinking green, run. That's all he says, right? And then the doors start opening.
Wait,
and
wait.
Then Soji turns to the new girl
Wait.
and says, "Don't worry about it."
What? Okay, you just
Yep.
got a briefing about how safety is their most important, and the only
Dustin.
indication of their training is if your badge starts blinking green,
Don't
run.
worry about it.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Because
Don't
everyone's
worry.
about to die, or is it never going to turn green?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, I will not worry about it. Carry on.
According to Soji.
Oh, because
Don't worry about
Soji, reckless Soji. Don't worry about it.
So they're in the next section. There's like all these scan stations, right? Like they're getting scanned to go into their workstations. And as they're waiting, Narek approaches, right? And Soji starts talking. She's like, "Oh, Narek, this is." And Narek interrupts, and he's like, he knows, of course, who she is. Narek says, "Doctor," I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Dr. Nashala Kunamedestifi of Trill Polytech.
Oh, is she a Trill, this other person?
No, she just works for Trill Polytech.
Oh, okay. So just
I assume. I don't see spots on her.
There's no okay.
Not that I noticed.
All right.
I don't know. Have we ever had a black Trill? Do they have spots?
I've never seen a black Trill on Star Trek, but don't know why that couldn't be.
Yeah, I don't know why not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's her name.
Okay.
It's the only time we hear it. I think that's the only time it matters, because she then walks off. Right. Well, Narek says like, "Oh, the Institute's eager to see your work, bear fruit." And then she's like, "Oh, thank you," and walks away. She goes through her scan, and so it's just Narek and Soji. And so, first, the other character, she's nervous about like, well, what if the collective reestablishes connection to the ex-Borg, right? And Narek explains, no. You see, when a cube gets damaged enough, the connection is disconnected, and the collective detaches, and it won't try to reestablish contact.
Quick update. She is in fact a Trill.
Oh, okay. Interesting. That's cool.
And apparently
according to Memory Alpha.
Okay, and possibly there are two kinds of Trill. Our chat room is informing us.
Two kinds of Trill?
There are two sentient species on the planet Trill.
The TNG one and the Deep Space Nine one?
No. There's the Trill, and then there's the what do they call them? The Trill is the humanoid species, and then there's the symbiont.
No, I don't think that's what they're referring to. That there's apparently two different species, sentient upright walking.
Two different humanoid species?
Two different humanoid species on Trill, yes. So if you want to fact
are the ones on TNG not so uptight about mingling with previous lives? Is that why the one dude goes immediately back to Crusher when he's a chick and is like, "Let's hook up," and Crusher's all nervous? But then in DS9, they make a big deal about that, and you're not allowed to do stuff like that. But it wasn't a problem in Next Generation.
Well, that's because DS9 was a little bit better about thinking through interesting.
How dare
stuff.
you?
Oh, I will. I will die on. DS9 was the clearly superior sci-fi series to TNG. I just lost half of our 4 people audience. Anyway,
join us in 2021 as we deconstruct Deep Space Nine and what makes it so amazing. Carrying on now.
The new character is reassured that the Borg isn't going to reestablish connection.
And we are reassured how?
Because Narek said so. And he explains, right? We know this. This is from previous information where we know that the Borg disconnects from damaged units.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. But
right, because they don't want to get corrupted.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a standard thing.
No, but I mean, they didn't do like an entire ship. Like, are there other Borgs on there that are perfectly okay?
There have been entire rogue collectives. There's a rogue collective within the collective, Dustin.
Yeah.
A double secret Borg.
They live there in dreams.
Okay. Moving on.
I think that's a Voyager episode.
Voyager did a lot with the Borg, so it was kind of
cool.
Me.
Anyway, so there's a lot more bad dialogue. The one chick walks away, and that's the last we ever see of her. I think. And so it's just Narek and
position person.
It's just Narek and Soji. And Narek asks Soji if he can watch her work, and Soji is like, "Well, you need approval from the director, right, of the reclamation project." And she walks away. And then Narek, saying to no one in particular, says, "Actually, I don't."
Dun, dun, dun,
dun. Wow.
Cut to Chateau Picard.
That is just...
Hey, Agnes is here.
Oh,
her?
Yeah,
she's from the Daystrom girl from the Daystrom Institute. Yeah. And so it shows she's in Picard's living room, and the shot opens up showing Agnes reading Isaac Asimov.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's so clever.
And the book she's reading, I actually checked in this, right? It was hard to see at first, but it's The Complete Robot, which is a collection of his short stories.
Wow.
Right. So she's reading Isaac Asimov. I wonder if that's topical. Picard enters and sees her reading. And he's like, "Oh, you have a taste for the classics, I see. I never really cared for science fiction myself."
Ha ha ha!
What?
I just didn't get it.
That is Kurtzman looking directly at the camera and going, "Ha ha, fans! This show now belongs to someone who doesn't care about sci-fi, and there ain't nothing you can do about it."
Mm-hmm.
And then Picard offers a selection of tea to Agnes, and Agnes requests Earl Grey. Picard looks at her and says, "I knew there was something about you."
Really?
Yeah. And they connect. They have a little moment where they smile at each other.
Wait, are they gonna ship these two?
No,
that's what I'm picking up.
They both drink Earl Grey tea.
Yeah, I know, but
What's
connected on something.
They're having a human moment, Dustin.
They have a human. All right.
It's a moment of connection, a moment of understanding.
Over tea? Like they just had a thing.
People connect over the strangest things, Dustin.
No, but didn't they already connect? Like she studies AI. Picard worked with the most advanced AI unit for 10 more years.
Oh, that's not what they connected over.
You would think that would be kind of the connection where she'd be extremely fascinated, and they would, and the fact that he goes on TV defending him, like you would think that's where the connection would be. Like, well, I guess their new audience can't relate to that. It's got to be over tea. Oh, we drink the same tea. It's like, it's
Earl
like
Grey, Dustin. It's
I know,
Earl
it's like
Grey. That's what Picard drinks.
You have the same drink at Starbucks. We're obviously meant to be together.
Yeah, but this is what Picard drinks, and we have to be reminded of it every time.
Every episode.
Yeah.
Every episode.
Multiple times. There were 2 references in the last episode.
And this is the first. Oh my God, we need to start. We're keeping track of that. All right, so that's the third reference.
We need an Earl Grey counter.
Or we're doing an Earl Grey counter. I'll add it in a nice little sound effect.
I think this is the third one.
Okay.
Also, this is the person we're talking about here is Dr. Agnes Jurati. Is that correct?
I think so. I never quite caught her last name. It's weird.
She's white lady, blonde.
Yeah, perky.
Yep. Okay.
Kind of nervous.
I really hope they're not shipping her with Picard because I just want to point out. Yeah, she's the actress is 35.
Okay.
So...
And Picard's in his 90s.
Yeah, there's that.
The new 45. So is that really a problem?
Well, for her, that's the new 12 then. So yes, it is a
problem. Oh, gross. Anyway, they connect over Earl Grey tea. And then they begin discussing Bruce Maddox. Apparently, Agnes had looked into Maddox's past, right? Looked into the records at the Daystrom Institute because Maddox taught there. He had tenure there, so she looked into that. Apparently, like when he disappeared, because nobody knows where Maddox is right now. So he disappeared, and apparently when that happened, like all of his stuff got, the word she used is black boxed, and they don't elaborate on that at all. Like I can assume what it means, right? Like all his research got shoved aside, put away
and banned.
Yeah. So like she couldn't find much.
Okay. So
but there was little like residual things she was able to find.
Okay. Because that has
I'm actually
to do with
seeing when it cuts away from my voice now.
Yeah. So we can actually he's doing that because we know that synth research was banned after the accident, right?
Yes.
Okay.
After Mars
was exploded.
Kaboom.
By shooting lasers at the...
It was a Mars-shattering kaboom.
All right.
So they discussed Bruce Maddox. He disappeared. There's not much, but there was a little bit. She was able to find some stuff. So they start speculating, right? And Agnes makes the strangest comment, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I want your thoughts on this. Here's what Agnes says, and this is in quotes. Bruce and Data were friends after a fashion.
That's odd.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember at the end of that episode, Data pretty much shunned him and was like, "No, I won't work with you. You just tried to end me." Like,
yeah, for those of you who don't quite remember off the top of your heads, Bruce Maddox is the guy who initiated like a big trial episode to question whether or not Data was actually alive, a life form, because Maddox wanted to disassemble Data and study how he worked.
yes,
Seems reasonable.
Referring to him as it.
yes, and I think it's also a really perfect example of old Trek where there was an episode where there was a court trial determining whether or not Data had a soul versus New Trek where people complain about coming in and working and then getting blown up by space synths.
Maybe they shouldn't have complained so much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whoa.
Or maybe giving the
Classist.
synths some friggin' cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bring some cake into work. They'll be happy.
Yeah.
The
Work for
synths
Maria
need not
Antoinette.
rebel.
So Data and him became friends off screen.
I guess.
Again,
After a fashion.
yeah.
After a fashion.
Again, super lazy writing to just kind of throw all that stuff in. I mean, there's nothing to say that they couldn't have done that, but it just
Well, it's enough that Agnes concludes that if Bruce were in fact using Data's neurons to make synths,
Mhm.
then it would make sense to model them after Data's paintings
What?
What?
because they're friends. Right? If Maddox built Dodge and Soji
Uh-huh.
using Data's neurons
Uh-huh.
to create a perfect synth,
Uh-huh.
then it would only make sense for Bruce to use the image of this painting that Data made called Daughter.
Uh-huh.
That's what
Ah.
Agnes speculates.
You mean the painting that was hiding in the completely locked quantum storage?
yeah.
Well, the one actually showing her face.
Yes,
yeah, the one where we
that-
actually would know what she would look like.
Yeah.
That one. Got it.
Oh my god.
We don't know how
just-
long they were in storage.
That is just so sloppy writing. He didn't even have the paintings. And why did Data have a painting called Daughter that wasn't LOL?
It's a mystery.
Ah.
And it's in a box.
Oh.
Yes.
It's
Wait,
a mystery box.
Don't.
wrong timeline.
Apparently not.
No, actually. This sounds exactly like mystery box time. Okay. I don't want to rehash the painting thing and how dumb that is.
All right.
So let's move on.
So they move on.
That'll be in
and
the
they
director's
decide-
cut.
They start discussing Dodge.
Okay.
Right. And so she looked into her background, right, and finds
Okay.
out that she was in fact a perfect candidate for the Daystrom Institute, right? In hindsight, a little too perfect. I get it, because Daystrom Institute, she's an android.
Yeah. How is somebody
okay.
too perfect?
She was making a quip, Dustin.
I don't know. Like,
Uh.
I feel like, no, that means the implication there is that Dodge was made as a plant. That,
Well,
like,
yeah.
they literally built somebody who could infiltrate the Institute
We're
for
getting to that.
nefarious purposes.
We're getting to that.
That's
No,
what that
no.
means.
I played Fallout 4. The robots don't infiltrate the Institute. The Institute uses robots to infiltrate other settlements.
Yeah.
I'm glad
well,
your knowledge
okay.
of Fallout 4 is coming in handy in this discussion of Star Trek.
It is very much
Mhm.
so. Well,
Yeah.
they're called synths. Like they're totally ripping off the
Yeah.
video game trope.
Exactly.
So
Otherwise, they just call them androids.
exactly.
Maybe it's a music thing.
Could be.
Anyway, so they're talking about Dodge. She's a perfect candidate for the Daystrom Institute. In fact, there are enrollment files and transcript records, on file that she was able to find,
Mhm.
right? But it turns out, wait. Enrollment and transcripts files for not for the Daystrom Institute, but for what I can surmise is a previous institution known as Regulus. That's all they say. And then the next line they refer to is R3SA and give it no other context. So I don't know if this has ever been mentioned before.
Wait, back up.
Apparently
is
she
going
went
on?
she studied at a place called R3SA, which is also called Regulus. That's all the information we're given.
Okay.
And
That's
she was
totally-
able to find enrollment and transcript records.
Okay.
Okay. Fact check here. That is the Regulus 3 Science Academy.
Okay, there you go.
Oh.
It's cool they told us that in the episode.
It's referenced in Deep Space Nine.
Oh.
Wait, hang on. We got back up. If it's a science academy and there's transcripts there, like, because to me, if transcripts is like school and this was a science academy, and then going to the Daystrom Institute, I mean, isn't
like
the
grad
Daystrom
school.
Institute also like an advanced university thing?
Yeah, she's moving up in the world.
Oh, so it's like
Moving
more.
on up
Oh, okay, all right.
to Okinawa.
No,
Yep.
sure, yeah.
Yep, it's Regulus 3 is in the Beta Quadrant, and it is a science academy.
There you go.
Okay.
But it turns out, as Agnes tells us, that, this girl's a complete work of fiction, despite these records. Because even though there are enrollment and transcripts on file, there's no record of her actually attending.
How would she know that? What records are missing that would tell her that she
Attendance
attended?
records.
She has access to attendance records of basically a college.
Basically. Why not?
In the Beta Quadrant.
It's mysterious, right? We find out that somebody did a crappy job of covering their tracks.
All of this is really dumb because this is things that the Federation security should be researching. Hey, this guy who took a knock-in from this mysterious explosion says there was people there. If we bothered to interview him, we could then look up the existence of this person, and they could probably get the records a lot quicker than some rando at a AI academy.
Well, yeah, but then you'd be drawing the Federation's attention.
Why?
We've already
wouldn't
had the
they?
Federation tell us no at this point.
No, I'm talking about before the Federation. No, Federation didn't say no. Some admiral will give him a Starfleet ship, but the Federation has Federation and Starfleet are different. There are Federation organizations outside of Starfleet, and you would assume like some kind of Earth security force would be outside of that, or Starfleet would be interested in finding this person that Picard says was there from an explosion that happened on Earth. I cannot emphasize that enough. There was an explosion on Earth and nobody seems to care.
It was at the top of a building. Nobody saw
Earth
it.
is supposed to be a paradise. If there's a single murder, everyone loses their minds on the entire planet.
No, they got desensitized during the Dominion War. They said, well, they infiltrated us. No need to worry about anything anymore.
Yeah, I guess, once
we'll fire all our police officers.
It doesn't matter anymore. Okay. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of like, detective noir tropes that are going through, but they didn't even bother going through the flimsiest excuses of why the authorities couldn't help. And that's
because whoever's doing this is so secretive that they can not, they can do this without being detected by mundane law enforcement or Earth defenses. They operate everywhere, Dustin. Everywhere. Secret.
Yeah, the super secret shot bots who are so secret they can operate all willy-nilly on Earth.
And in the Klingon Empire.
What?
And in the Gorn Hegemony is what they call it. They reference the hegemony. They reference the Gorn.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the reference, but just to say that there's a Romulan organization that operates with impunity in multiple foreign organizations and planets.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're just that secret. They're just that badass.
If the Romulans had that capability, I gotta imagine they would be doing it for a lot more reasons than just AI stuff.
Yeah, but they're not going to tell you.
Yeah, but it's not the Romulans. It's the super secret inside. It's the secret inside the fake secret.
Yeah, these are so secret. They use the secret group as a front.
Yeah, I remember when Star Trek was about, people who had really good reasons to be in conflict and not just super duper secret fantasy organizations are coming to get you.
Nah. It just seemed like that. It was always the super secret organizations.
So it turns out, Agnes concludes that based on what she's been able to find, her best guess, her best conclusion, and here's a weird quote she says. She says, "I'm no forensics maven,
She's not a
What?
maven. Okay. Well, I gotta imagine there's levels of competency where maven falls on that. I don't exactly know.
Isn't that your
Connoisseur.
job, fact checker?
I wouldn't even know where to begin to look for that. Where?
So she says, "I'm no forensic."
Maybe it's a newer.
But she basically concludes that Daj's identity, like the entirety of her identity, was built roughly 3 years ago.
How does she know that information?
Research and intuition.
Oh, geez, oh, Pete.
And so the question is, well, who did this? Well, we don't know. Could it have been Maddox? Maybe. What was his motive? I don't know. It's a mystery.
Oh, geez, another mystery box. All right. We're getting our mystery box together. Still don't know.
But the
why
relevant question here,
okay.
conclude, the relevant question is not what was she after at the Daystrom Institute? The question should be, what about the other one? Where is she? What is she after?
Okay.
Cut to the Borg cube where we meet the other one. Mid-procedure.
We really got to remind our audience that she is the other one. Can't let them forget that.
Right. The identical character played by the same actress is the other one.
Right. We can't let the audience forget that.
So we come in mid-procedure. They're in this operating room. There's like
Wait a minute.
people
back
on
up a
tables.
second. I'm sorry.
I
Before we
just
get
started.
to this, we got back up again.
All right,
Wait.
I'm going to take another sip from my fourth glass here.
Oh my goodness. She has done all this research about this person. Did nothing about who she calls mom or dad come up in this?
Apparently
research?
not.
Or the calls, or
Well, they looked at the calls.
yeah.
All they found out from that was that she wasn't on Earth.
Yeah, no. They found out that Soji wasn't on Earth. Did they find out anything about the Dodge mom?
Yeah.
No, that all got wiped clean.
Do we even know that? I mean, are they erasing other
Well,
records?
that's what they talk
create?
about in the whole apartment investigation.
Yeah, and
True.
if they're erasing records, why didn't they erase the school transcripts while they're at it? And if they're so thorough, they can have what was that?
Well, they're
term?
not trying to erase her existence, Dustin. They're just erasing the attack.
Okay, so even if they're erasing the attack, but this person, they went through her communication records and made it an agnostic, whatever,
Qualitatively
agnostic communications to hide everything. But they're so advanced, they didn't think to check attendance records.
No, they didn't want to delete those.
No, not delete them. I'm saying forge them. If they can forge all
Nobody's
of the
got
other
time
grades
for that,
and everything.
Dustin.
Well, okay, Dustin, we're looking
That's
at two different
tedious.
organizations here.
Yeah.
We're looking at the organization that made Dodge and Soji, and then we're looking at the super secret Romulan KGB. Those are two different organizations with two different goals. Romulan KGB has no interest in covering up her existence. They only want to cover up their existence. They're not going to waste time and resources, which might point back to the secret.
You know what? You, Adam, you have brought order to this podcast. That might make sense. So,
Carry on.
Carry on.
So we're at the Borg cube, mid-procedure. There's a bunch of people on operating tables, right? These are ex-Borg, right? You can see the implants and stuff on them. And so they're operating on these ex-Borg. And we find out that they're removing the cybernetic implants. Okay. So we're mid-procedure, and one of the people is operating on one of the dudes, referring to him as nameless, right? And we find out that means that the species, this particular species that was assimilated, we don't know what they are yet, right? This is an unfamiliar species. So they use the term nameless to refer to Borg of unknown species.
They don't just say unknown species.
Well, this particular operator says nameless because Soji speaks up later and it's like, I hate you say that, right? That kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Dodge or Soji. Why did I write down Dodge for all this? Maybe because they look so much alike. Soji is at a computer module, right? She's at a computer station watching this happen. She's like, and also Narek is there, kind of watching off to the side.
He's in the room watching.
Yeah.
So he apparently got permission somehow.
Well, yeah.
Okay. He did say he would.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So therefore he did. The first thing we see happen is they remove the cybernetic arm of this Borg that they're operating on.
Okay.
And then they continue. There's a couple other procedures like the ocular harvest procedure,
Gross.
where they remove the ocular processing core. That's the face. The whenever you got a Borg that has like the big cybernetic faceplate covering one of their eyes, they remove that, and it's all bloody underneath, and it's gross.
Of course.
And then we hear somebody else off screen say tertiary mandible implant containment complete. I don't know.
Ew.
And so then Soji,
So lots of gross stuff doing.
yeah, Soji walks over to the.
Are these
the
Borg
nameless.
alive, or are they like being autopsied?
Well, they're alive.
Are Borg really alive?
They're put under.
Okay.
So Soji walks over to this nameless she was just empathizing over and starts speaking in a different language. And she says, you can see the subtitles. She says, "You are free now, my friend," but it's in a different language. And then suddenly Narek perks up and he's like, "Ooh, this is unexpected," right? But that's the end of the scene. We don't get his reaction past that. Now we're back at Chateau Picard. It's 9 p.m.
Okay.
We know this because the shot opens up on a clock and we can see Picard in the reflection, looking very concerned. He's thinking hard about something.
It's past my bedtime.
It's very
So then he goes to his desk. He opens up the drawer and pulls out this fancy looking box that has, Starfleet and, symbols on it and stuff.
Okay.
And in the box, he pulls out his old comm badge. And it's all dramatic and like
does a little couple bars of the theme play when he looks at it.
Yeah,
in the light. Of course.
Oh yeah, it's very meaningful and reflective of his time. Remember the good old days of Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do, but for him, it'd be like, remember the good old days when Starfleet, was good in your eyes.
So then he goes and stands in his doorway, right, looking out in his back patio, and he puts the comm badge on, right?
Uh-huh.
He thinks for a moment, and then he activates it, and he says, "Please don't hang up. I need your help. I need a ship." And then he looks up at the stars for like 15 seconds before the scene ends.
Wait, back up. He accidentally activated his comm badge and then
no, he did it on purpose.
So he activated his comm badge.
Yeah. And he says, "Please don't hang up. I need your help. I need," dramatic pause, "a ship." Yes.
Okay.
And he looks at the stars. I mean,
for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate
the music
these
plays
things that exist just because it seems all cool. Like,
it's nostalgia, Dustin.
Yeah, just
make
a phone call.
Rule of cool
He did.
for me, man. I'm cool with that. He did make a phone call. He just did it in space with space stuff.
Except he's on Earth in France at Chateau.
Except he's in Earth.
It's Star Trek. It's all
his comm badge for some reason.
I mean, why would you use a phone if we have comm badge technology, Dustin?
I mean,
you just tap it. All you have to do is
equivalent
think about
of
who
a
you're
phone.
talking to. You don't even have to say who you're talking to.
Yeah, like the space equivalent of a phone, because his comm badge was.
It's like 50-year-old technology here, Dustin.
Yeah, yes, that's my point. Like, why would he be using a comm badge to contact?
Because he's
anyone?
old. He doesn't want to use new technology.
My caveat here would be that if it's and again, this Starfleet never really struck me as super military, but if they are,
really,
they're really they are really not. But that would be a far more secure line of communication, considering he knows that the super secret Romulan ninjas are out there with their secrets.
But why? But then he's really concerned about that and thinks they're infiltrated the Federation. Why is he using a Starfleet communication device?
Because it's an old piece of technology that it's been in his possession for a long time, and it's probably nobody's thinking to monitor it. It would be the equivalent of using a CB radio.
That would be very clever if the writers established that, but they have not established that. It would be really cool if he was like, someone was like, somebody could be monitoring our communications, and he's like, well, I have an older way to communicate. That would be a sort of thing where it'd be like, okay, that's kind of clever, set up that problem and then solve it. But they don't establish that. It's just pure nostalgia shot it makes no character or in-universe sense.
Well, I assume they still use communicators.
I mean, I'm trying to, I'm taking Adam's concept to justify it.
Oh.
Like if it really was an old piece of tech.
I don't know. Rule of cool always works for me. That's why I'm a Star Wars person.
Yeah, it's a dramatic, nostalgic moment. Don't question it.
which is to me is bad if it doesn't fit within the character or the
It fits his
story.
character. Picard uses comm badges all the time.
No, but him being
super nostalgic.
and then looking up at space, like, was he waiting? Who is he talking to? Is he waiting for someone?
We don't know yet, Dustin. It's a mystery.
Oh my!
Because we cut to commercial and now we're into Act 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't find out.
This episode has not done anything except set up mysteries.
Stuff we already know. Mysteries we already know about.
Well, and then set up problems that then get solved immediately or
with more contrived technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Tachyons.
Yeah.
Tachyons. Act 4, we're in San Francisco.
Back to San Francisco.
Man, are we gonna get off Earth this friggin' episode or what?
Nope.
Remember
the
series Star Trek? We're just gonna spend the whole time on Earth.
We were on Mars at the beginning.
That was a flashback. That doesn't count.
Mm-hmm. And don't you dare reference not Dodge. That doesn't count either.
So we're in San Francisco.
Okay.
We see Admiral Clancy on the Holo talking to a Vulcan in Starfleet.
Okay.
Looking very serious. Refers to her as Commodore.
The Vulcan's rank is Commodore?
Yes. And I guess she's like
that's
head
rank.
of like Starfleet security or something. I don't think they ever explicitly say it, but it seems like she's in one of these kinds of positions where like she's in charge of like security and stuff like that.
Oh, good.
That's the
security
sense.
Officer.
That's the sense I get.
Okay.
This is a Commodore. We find out much later that her name is Commodore O.
All right. Are you serious?
Yeah. O-H.
Commodore.
And that's how it's said when we first hear the name.
Oh. Commodore
O.
Okay.
So we have Admiral Clancy and Commodore O.
Did she have pips on her like uniform?
I didn't think about that.
Oh, fact check for next time.
Yeah, but she's so Admiral Clancy is human, Commodore O is Vulcan.
Yes.
And they're talking to each other. We are in the presence of the Commodore talking to Clancy over the phone.
Okay. Or hologram.
Right.
Thing. Yeah.
And so Admiral Clancy mentions the conversation that Picard had with her, tells the Commodore everything, right? Mentions Bruce Maddox, mentions that Picard was talking about clandestine Romulan anti-Sith operations on Earth, right? And so the Commodore says, well, if there were clandestine Romulan secret anti-Sith operations on Earth, I would know about it. Yep, that's her. Right. And so she's like, if there were these secret operations, I'd know about it. And if I knew about it, you would know about it. And so would everyone else, because I would tell everybody, right? All of Starfleet would know if there were clandestine Romulan operations on Earth.
But if there was clandestine, wouldn't that mean that the definition that
nothing secret happens on Earth that she doesn't know about, Dustin?
Especially
not from a race.
Then why the heck was there an explosion on a building?
There was
also
no
not
explosion.
to mention that secret Romulan operations would be a quote overt and intolerable act of war.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So Admiral Clancy has Commodore O look into it. Right? She tells her, "Okay, you look into this, see what you can find."
Okay, so Clancy is putting her in charge. So she's like, okay, Picard brought something to me. He's probably crazy, but I'm gonna go call up the Fixer, and she's gonna look into it.
A reputable retired actor comes to you saying that he has evidence of secret Romulan operations. You're not gonna completely ignore it.
But no, you're just gonna berate him in private and swear at him until he leaves.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
But then
you can have your fun before going back to business.
This is so, oh god. So now we're doing the police chief who yells a lot trope.
So anyway, Commodore O seems troubled and summons Lieutenant Rizzo.
Rizzo.
Is he a Muppet?
Well, we don't meet them yet because that's the end of the scene. We cut to Chateau Picard, and Laris is livid. She's angry at Picard, and she's yelling at him because, like, what makes you think you can do something like this? Are you crazy? Have you gone mad? Do you have dementia? And Picard's like, excuse me, and they move past it, calling this a stupid idea, right? And Picard's like, I have been mourning this man's death, Data's death, my best friend. I've been mourning his death for two decades, right? Which seems weird to me.
What?
That he has spent 2 decades in mourning.
Yeah.
And hasn't gotten over it yet.
Who's
like,
sure, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Data.
Oh, well, again, he had a man
sure,
crush on Data.
Data sacrificed his life for Picard, sure, but you can't get over that in 20 years?
Yeah, like,
I guess trauma takes many forms. I said that earlier. So.
You did say that, but again, mourning for 20 years. I mean, he's a seasoned Starfleet officer.
Queen Victoria mourned her husband for the rest of her life.
Who?
Queen Victoria.
Well, no. I'm sure if we talk to a historian, I'm sure there would be political reasons that she never remarried.
No, she chose to remain in mourning for the rest of her life.
Yes.
She chose,
like the Victorian state of mourning.
Yeah,
no, it's personal.
Not because she was necessarily in mourning for the whole time.
She was in mourning, and she holed herself away in a Scottish castle for most of the rest of her life.
Yeah, that was, again... Oh, I didn't know about that last part, but I'm pretty sure all of that was just, considering how long she ruled, I'm sure that was all just show and political.
No, she really deeply felt the loss of her husband. Like, she did not handle it well. She even ended up neglecting a lot of her children as a result.
Apocryphally, no, she very much loved Albert. They had a lot of kids.
A lot.
More than the usual amount that royalty had. Yes, that is something historically that is something that is real. I mean, it's not like she wrote down somewhere, well, I don't know, maybe she did. She wrote down somewhere that I loved him.
Well, it's well known.
Yes,
she wasn't private about it. Yeah. She wore black for the rest of her life.
Which is fine to wear black for the rest of your life.
Well, that's like what you wear when you're officially in mourning. It's very Victorian, Dustin. They're all
but it's also very showy and
it's Victorian.
Whereas Picard is saying he has actually been in mourning over losing.
Okay, did he say that he had been in mourning or that he had?
He said that he had been mourning Data's death basically for 2 decades.
Does seem a little extreme, but I'll give it a pass because
anyway. So
I don't, because what they're doing is exactly what they do in other shows. They just, when they're off screen, they just freeze them in time so that nothing happens. So you can't ever have to write something about or give them proper motivation or just kind of come up with ideas like, hey, what's Picard been doing? No, he's been mourning his friend Data for 20 years.
See, the issue is, Dustin, is that probably not even half an hour ago, you were yelling about people inventing stuff that happened off screen earlier in the past. I mean, you've got to go one way or the other. Either way, you can't win in that. Like when you have a time jump like that. Do you make the character that everybody knew and loved from the previous episode, quote unquote, or do you have them change and then, piss people off and give them new motivations?
Well, no, I said
maybe that's the point, Dustin, is that maybe he wasn't the guy when we saw him last who would have mourned a person for 20 years, but in that time he has become more of a mournful soul. Maybe that's just the explanation.
What I said before was Bruce Maddox and Data becoming friends later. I actually said, okay, I mean, maybe that happened off screen. I guess I could accept that. So I am saying people can change off screen, but I'm just questioning the motive of him saying, I've been mourning my friend's death for 20 years.
To be fair, Dustin, I've been in straight up denial about Data's death for 20 years. So Picard's kind of a step ahead of me on this, so I can't complain. I don't accept Data's death.
They're freezing the character. They're not There's a difference between off
Oh,
screen.
you want to talk about freezing the character? Oh, we're getting to some stuff here in the next episode.
Oh boy. I'm just saying freezing that character in place, it just seems like really bad. Like what he could say is I've felt guilty about my friend's death for 20 years.
No, he says mourning.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, to me, that would be like a more sensical emotion to just say, "Hey, I've been carrying around this guilt about it. Like, I could have prevented it somehow. Or I was somehow responsible." But to say he's been mourning, because it also doesn't sound like he's been mourning Data's death. What he's really been doing is mourning Starfleet all of a sudden becoming xenophobic.
Well, no, he's angry about that, but he's having like nightmares. He's having dreams about Data every night.
Like he's
playing chess on 10 forward as Mars explodes out the window.
Almost
like,
poker.
That's not healthy. Like if you're still
no, it's a symptom of urematic syndrome, apparently, according to his doctor.
So is it symptomatic? So is it a symptom of that, or is he mournful? It can't be both.
Why not?
because it's because he's mournful. Then it's not a symptom of the urematic syndrome. He's just like, I have been mournful of other people and had dreams of them. I didn't do it for 20 years.
Well, you're not Picard.
You're also not 95.
Picard's seen some shit.
25. I mean, how many people have you known for 20 years?
A lot.
Like that you regularly correspond with?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have friends that I was friends with like since kindergarten. We may have grown apart, but we still regularly communicate.
So Laris is angry. And so she's still just straight up yelling at Picard. And she's like, no, you can't go. It's dangerous, right? She doesn't want Picard to get hurt or killed, right? And she's concerned because of Tal Shiar. And she makes this is a quote, right? Laris at one point says, no one but the Tal Shiar could ever protect you against the Tal Shiar. And then Jaban is right there. He's like, Jaban is there. He says she's not wrong.
What?
Because we can't. There's no subtlety here at all. It's just waving a giant Tal Shiar flag in the background.
Yeah. So Jaban decides he wants to go with Picard, right? And Laris is even more angry. And this is when I noticed
is Tal Shiar.
No, this is when I noticed that Laris has the Irish accent.
Okay, let's unpack Laris.
Because, she says a line, that one can go with you, or something. It's very Irish, right? You can take that one with you, or something like that, right? And that's when I noticed, like, she does have an Irish accent.
Oh my God. So they troped up a Irish accented refugee for an housekeeper, no less. They just really trope this up in the future. Absolutely no reason to have a refugee serving a guy with a British accent, no less.
But he's French, so it's okay.
I mean, I know he's French, but seriously, how bad and stereotype this is for a series that takes place 400 years in the future to have a refugee with a Irish accent serving a guy with a British accent because he helped save her and he's just so sophisticated there on his chateau.
Maybe she has a life debt like Chewbacca and Han Solo.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, because in the sophisticated Romulan culture, they have things like life debts rather than hey, you're acting like
with a rich history of traditions and
oh my goodness,
and other hoity-toity things.
Yeah,
and not to mention that.
When are we going to talk about the Romulan potato famine?
Yeah.
No, the supernova wiped them all out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So Picard, the benevolent British knight, is riding in to save all of the poor Irish refugees.
Those two.
Well, just those two, but I mean, just in general, the picture is painting of Romulans that...
Well, sure, if you want to map real life society...
I'm not mapping it. Like, they have laid it out of, like, 100-piece jigsaw puzzle. They're 90 pieces into this. Like, this is 90. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second episode, Dustin.
but I'm just saying. Oh my goodness, that he has the British guy has
So wait.
angry yelling Irish.
Romulan.
I mean Romulan, but with an Irish accent.
Romulan.
Oh
my
goodness. Okay.
Romulan American.
Yeah, and now that's not even the worst part of Laura.
So wait, do all the Romulans have Irish accents?
No,
just her.
Just that one.
Just
the one that's serving the British dude.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
She thought it was appropriate.
So now I'm trying to figure out Laura's motivation here.
Laris's
motivation.
Well, she doesn't want Picard to get hurt. She's worried Picard's going to get
Why?
Because she cares about him.
Why?
It's called family, Dustin.
Ohana means family.
They're not.
Means
family.
Nobody gets left behind.
Okay. Also, to be fair, the actress who is playing this character is in fact Irish.
That helps.
It helps ish, but I mean, casting is a thing. She could have been one of the other many hundreds of Romulans on this show.
You don't know that. And
not be the housekeeper who yells at the
So
sassy housekeeper.
Are you saying they should have heard her with her Irish accent and said, no, we can't put her in this role because she's Irish?
No, what I'm saying is I think she got put into the role because she's Irish, not trying to be racist, but because they are so bad at writing.
You're not trying,
and just
Justin,
naturally tropey.
Getting there.
they're just so stereotypical trope. They're like, oh well, you know what part?
What if it was a coincidence?
What if the housekeeper who yells at the guy with the British accent?
She does a good job at the part.
Okay,
yeah, she got an Irish accent, but
I'm going to explain this away for you, Dustin.
Okay.
Here's my explanation for you.
Adam
Obviously, these two Romulans are Tal Shiar, or possibly the super double secret KGB, or whatever.
Right.
So she took that accent specifically. I mean, because English isn't her first language.
Oh, maybe it's a front.
It's a front. She is literally doing the trope to make Picard feel more comfortable.
She's humoring him.
Okay.
Boom.
So that leads me directly into my other problem about this situation.
You're welcome. I do that.
One other problem.
Well, about Laura so far. So I've been waiting to do this because I'm trying to understand the situation of why she's so loyal to Picard and why she's living on Earth with him.
Who wouldn't be loyal to Picard?
Because here's the thing: the fact that Loris and what's the other guy's name? Zhaban sounds like they're both Tal Shiar. That actually flies in the face against Picard's argument of helping the Romulans, because he has tried to save some Romulans, and what happened? He let two Tal Shiar agents onto Earth.
And they can already get onto Earth too. They're Tal Shiar.
But now with an even greater cover story that's going to make it even easier for them to operate. Like the very fact that the two Romulan refugees that Earth took in are Tal Shiar agents, that actually bolsters the arguments of people who are saying we shouldn't help the Romulans. So is the series actually trying to make the argument that, hey, don't help refugees? Picard is actually a foolish old man who can't see the bigger picture of what's going on. Like,
well,
like this is like literally like this sounds like Star Trek written by Mega.
No, it reads as though they're extremely loyal to him and that they care a lot about Picard and his well-being, because it seems to me that because he helped the Romulans, they're loyal to him. Right? It reads very much that they are loyal to him.
Okay, yeah. I understand that. But there are two Romulan spies on Earth.
We don't know they're spies. We just know that Laris knows about the Zhat Vash because of her parents.
We know that they're Tal Shiar. The issue is we don't know whether they are in a negative capacity or not. Literally, it seems like from what the dialogue I've heard, that their job here is to protect Picard.
And they're helping him.
Like, if that is their task, if the Tal Shiar said either because they went, oh, Picard tried to save us, have some bodyguards, or Picard, even if it's more cynical, Picard is useful to us for some other reason, we need to protect him. And so they attach two bodyguards to him.
I mean,
that's
if,
kinda what
if
I
they
get.
are using their position to spy on the Federation or Picard or something sinister, then yes, that becomes the moral of the story. However, what it seems like from the dialogue I've heard is that, like Brian's saying, they are loyal to Picard. Picard, either through his nobility or through his actions or whatever you want to call it,
Or his
has
accent.
or just through his accent. The power of his accent is pretty powerful. He has won them. He has potentially won them to his side, to the point where I would not be surprised, and it's just a continuation of the ridiculous tropes that they will defy orders of their superiors to favor Picard. And that becomes the metaphor for you help the refugees because they in turn help you.
Which is still,
Yeah,
but I mean, there's still an underlying problem here of accidentally letting in 2 Romulan spies. I mean, is there any indication that they are still technically active and working with the Tashiar under?
We
some
have no
sort
idea
of-
at the point.
No, all we know is that Lara's stuff
Okay, so
because of her
what I'm going
parents.
with is, let's go with the best case scenario. Let's say they are just 2 random Romulans who are former spies, and they decided to work on Picard's chateau. That's great, and that's a good message that people can change. However, there is still kind of on the face of it, there are 2 former spies, Romulan spies on Earth.
Well, we're still
No one
assuming
really-
that they're actually spies.
I mean, you keep saying it's heavily implied, so I'm saying
Implied, but yeah, it was still an assumption.
Okay, so but bear with me here. Let's assume for a moment, and then we'll assume another scenario. So they are Romulan spies, and Earth doesn't know about it. Like, it would be like the equivalent of 2 former KGB agents defecting to the United States under the guise of being refugees, and the CIA not knowing that they were former spies. The fact that they're former spies probably means that the intelligence would say, okay, bring them in. We'll believe them that they've renounced, but we're still going to keep an eye on them.
So you are under the impression that that very scenario you described never happened. You don't think that there are former Dustin? They can't even find all the old SS people.
Yeah, Adam, that's my point is, this series is trying to make, I'm not saying what does or doesn't happen in real life. I'm just trying to say the argument of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Because the very fact that the only 100% of the Romulan refugees on Earth are spies. Now, I don't think 100% of Russian refugees that came to Earth or that came to the United States during the Cold War were spies. In fact, the vast majority probably weren't, and then others tried to sneak in.
You don't know that.
I think it's safe to say that
There you go, making assumptions again, Dustin.
I mean, let's not get into history. So that's why I'm saying is like, wow,
let's not
they
get
were
into
right.
history as we nitpick apart this fictional TV show.
Well, no, I'm just saying, let's not argue a pedantic point. Are you seriously going to tell me the hundreds of thousands of Russians, all spies that came to the United States? Okay,
I don't know.
Let's not get stuck on that.
Okay, so
I'm trying to get to. It wasn't 100%, I guarantee you. So this series is like making an argument that probably inadvertently, and that's on the writers and the directors, that hey, they were right. Romulans are some shifty people, and we need to keep a close eye on them and be careful around them.
You know what, Dustin? I didn't think I was going to finish this bottle of wine.
Yeah.
You've proven me wrong.
Oh, I'm glad. So now we need to explore the other alternative. Okay, so they're not spies, even though there's implications that they are. So
we don't know.
I'm just saying, let's explore the other possibility. Let's say they aren't actually spies. Great. How do these 2 not spies know about the double super secret organization?
Because of Lars's parents.
Who was her mentor. And so Lars' parents, who are also may have been spies, are just telling their kids state secrets?
You think just because they're Romulans, they're spies, Dustin? Jeez.
Well, how else would their parents know about the super secret
What, you think all Romulans are spies now, Dustin?
Just the ones that know about the super double secret KGB operating within the Tal Shiar.
Hashtag not all Zhat Vash.
Okay.
Anyway, Picard insists.
My point has been made. Yes.
Picard insists that he has to go on this mission, right? He's going to get a ship and he's going to find Bruce Maddox. And Laris is pissed. She storms off, right? And Picard tells Jaban that he should stay. He can't go with him, right? He needs to stay here. And he says, here's a quote. He says, "The grapes are in far more need of protection than I am. There's less than a month until harvest."
I cannot wait to get to the ragtag team that he's going to put together that he's going to trust more than the two Romulans that have been taking really good care of him for the last 10 years.
See, it's funny you say that, given the next thing I have written down.
Oh, well, I did hear about, you did mention the ragtag team, so yes.
Well, that's coming up next episode.
Okay.
But Jaban recommends that maybe Picard needs a crew. What about Riker or Worf or LaForge?
Oh, hey, there's a good idea.
Yeah, Picard doesn't want to involve them. He thought about it, but he doesn't want to put them. He doesn't want them to put themselves at risk out of loyalty to him. Not again.
Not again. How many times did they put themselves at risk because of loyalty to Picard?
It's happened in a couple of the movies where they come out of retirement to crew a ship run by Picard, putting themselves in danger.
They came out of retirement in one of the movies,
didn't they?
No. They were all very much in.
Well, still, they didn't have to do what Picard wanted to do, but they chose
Actually,
to because they're loyal to him.
He was their superior
loyalty.
Officer. They would literally be court-martialed if they didn't. But no,
Picard doesn't want to ask them because he knows that if he did, they would automatically say yes, and he doesn't want them to do that just out of pure loyalty.
Picard is aware of the effect he has on people.
Yeah. And so Jaban says, well then, quote, "You need someone who hates you and has nothing to lose." Picard says, "I've already made the call."
All right, let's back up a second.
Oh, okay.
Because I won't manipulate a person out of loyalty to me, but I will gladly manipulate a person who is so down in the luck and has nothing to lose that they might just follow me on a whim.
Yeah.
That is the most classist crap I have ever heard.
Oh, just wait until 2 scenes from now.
Oh! I thought that was the end of the series.
This is the man who did say that.
No, that's not the end of the episode.
Take a demotion.
I still have 2 pages left.
Oh God! Okay, all right.
So, cut to Starfleet.
Okay,
we have Commodore O and Lieutenant Rizzo, who is a attractive human female.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
Of probably later 20s, early 30s, kind of, right? So Commodore O is watching the footage, like she's investigating the footage of the explosion, right? And as Lieutenant Rizzo walks in, the Commodore is like, "Do you see that? Does that look like disruptor fire reflecting off of the handrail to you?" And
wow.
Lieutenant Rizzo is like, "I don't think so."
Nah.
Wow, that is the crack team at Starfleet Intelligence. Nah.
So the Commodore tells Rizzo about what Picard said to the Admiral, right? That whole thing. She tells it to her. And she even mentions, well, he referred to the Zhat Vash by name, right? And the Commodore also knows that Picard is looking for Maddox. And she explicitly says that the Admiral did not mention either Maddox or the Zhat Vash. But according to my notes, she did clearly mention Bruce Maddox.
Little continuity problem there.
But the idea is that Commodore O knows things that she wasn't told.
Oh, man. They don't even have a good continuity script editor on site to fix stuff like that.
And we have a couple lines of dialogue to establish the fact that Commodore O does not like the word unexpected. She thinks it's a dirty word in our line of work.
Really? So
Yeah.
And
so they're talking about Picard.
He's one of those bosses who says, nothing. There's no problems. There are only challenges.
Sure. So they're talking about Picard, and Rizzo kind of pipes up. She's like, "You want me to take care of him?
Whoa.
I can take care of him for you."
Whoa.
And then Commodore O, she's like, no. You're too impatient, right? You're rush into things. You're sloppy. If need be, I'll take care of Picard.
Oh,
Yes, Commodore O said that.
Yeah. Oh,
Commodore O.
Wow. That is just all right. So
and then Commodore starts ripping into Rizzo about her botched recent operation. Right? She says, here's a quote. She said, "Your team destroyed the thing before it could be interrogated and nearly blew our cover."
Oh no!
Oh, no, she is Jatva.
Oh no, a high-ranking Starfleet admiral is corrupt? Who could have guessed?
Well, wait, is she an admiral?
No, she's a Commodore.
She's a Commodore.
She's high rank.
I mean,
She's top brass.
No, that's not necessarily true. There's a difference between intelligence and the top brass.
She's a high up person in the thing here.
I mean, if you say so.
They're all corrupt. It's turtles all the way down.
So wait, though, you said the Rizzo, who is not a Muppet, is a human?
Yes, human female.
So they got humans on the super secret Romulan KGB list now too.
Oh, we're getting to that.
Human sympathizers, or
just
what?
Be patient here. Scene's not over yet.
Oh, the villain's got to reveal her plan.
Yeah. So Commodore O mentions Rizzo. It's like, oh, you screwed up your operation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously referring to the Romulan ninjas who instaported in to kill Daj.
Yes.
Right. But she has. Fortunately, they have one more opportunity to succeed.
Well, they kind of did. Daj is dead.
Yeah. No, they didn't want to kill her. They wanted to find information from her. Remember, they were asking her, like, where are the others?
Okay.
Now he's got to race to not Daj.
Yeah, so there's one more opportunity, right? Referring to Soji.
How come they weren't already, like, on that? Like,
well, here, Rizzo says, I've put my best man on it.
Oh, it's Commander Douchebag.
Yes.
Okay. The mystery box is slightly less mysterious.
The Commodore expresses serious reservation about this guy.
Okay.
Right? And like very directly tells Rizzo that both of their lives are at stake if they fail. Right? Everything is at stake is a direct quote from Commodore O.
Oh, jeez.
And she suggests to Rizzo that perhaps Rizzo should manage this case in person. Right. Everything is at stake. Cut to the next scene, which is in the middle of the wilderness somewhere.
I hope that's the sub bar, the tag.
No, it doesn't say anything.
Middle of the wilderness.
But it's like in the middle of a desert somewhere. It's an arid somewhere. There's shrubs all over the place and like rocky outcrops and stuff. We're in the desert.
Shrubberies, got it.
We see Picard walking away from a shuttle that says taxi.
Okay.
Is it also yellow?
Ish.
Okay.
So there's wait.
He took the taxi.
A taxi? A taxi.
The wilderness.
He took a taxi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Used a fake name and paid in cash.
And it says taxi on the shuttle.
Why are there taxis? Why would he take a taxi?
So you can get from one place to another.
Instead of just transport there.
Well, we're in the middle of the wilderness, Dustin.
There's site-to-site transport.
Maybe you want to be discreet.
So he hires a taxi to fly around?
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're watching the transporters.
That's what I'm saying.
Like in Harry Potter, they keep an eye on the.
Okay. Let's not mix this. Let's not mix Harry Potter with this right now.
Okay, so Picard is walking towards. You find out he's walking towards this. Like, imagine a trailer.
Okay.
So but 24th century.
So he's beating a tinfoil crazy guy right now.
Yeah.
Or Walter White.
I hope it's the latter.
So he's walking up to this small future trailer. He has a bottle of wine with him.
When you say future trailer, does it look futuristic?
Yeah. Like it's got the lines and angles of Star Trek, but it's very clearly a trailer.
Oh, God.
just plop down in the middle of the wilderness.
Okay.
Am I the only one hoping that Randy Quaid comes out?
Whoa.
Well, a chick comes out
Okay.
Oh, well.
and she's got a gun.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And she's like,
jeez.
right?
And it actually cocks. Jeez.
Well, I made the cocking sound. But
Okay,
you get that.
alright.
I think it does actually. But Picard is like, I just want to talk.
Again, this is the next tropey thing of the two people who know each other, and one of them pulls a gun on them.
Well, we find out why.
Okay.
Picard kind of screwed this chick over.
Okay.
Not intentionally, but still. Anyway, so Picard's like, I just want to talk. And this chick is like, there isn't anything you can say that I want to hear. Picard kind of turns away nonchalantly, kind of shrugs, and he's like, secret Romulan assassins are operating on Earth. And she bites. She's like, God damn it. And like lowers the gun. And as he's walking away, she's like, is that the 86? Referring to the wine. And he like gestures it towards her. And she's like, God damn it. And then he like walks in. She's accepting his presence now. Cut to Narek sitting at a desk in his quarters.
You know what? I'm not even watching the series, but I already hate it every time we cut to this Borg cube thing.
Rizzo suddenly appears. She's a
Okay.
hologram, right? She's distance
Oh.
communication. But
Okay,
she suddenly appears, and Narek's like, don't you knock, right? But basically, he comments on her appearance because she still looks human in her Starfleet uniform. And he's like, round ears. You look like a plucked wakak.
Whatever that is. But
Yeah. I don't know.
It means that like she's not actually a human. She's a
Yeah.
what? She's a Romulan with super secret KGB fake ears.
Yeah. So she's
Yeah.
there to check up on his progress. She says that he's working too slow, right? But Narek is very confident that his method is guaranteed to work, right? He says that his method is the only sound approach to achieve what they want to achieve, right? And this is when we finally learn Commodore O's name, because Rizzo mentions it. And she says, Commodore O. And she refers...
Wait, she doesn't use a code name?
No,
Yeah,
she's
she refers
Commodore O.
to
Rizzo mentions to Narek that Commodore O has been a useful ally for the time being. Ally. And we can't have her turning on us.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
there's angles here. Right?
All right. Well, that's kind of
Who's
cool.
playing who?
All right.
Narek says, I'm on top of it. And Rizzo looks over at the disheveled bed and says, so it would seem. Have you found the nest? She asks him. Has the machine given up the location of its fellow abominations? Has it told you anything at all? And in this discussion, we find out Rizzo refers to Narek as her baby brother.
Oh.
But there's also like a weird sexual tension between them. So it's weird.
Oh.
Yeah. And so basically, Rizzo threatens that if there's been no progress by the time she arrives, because she's on her way out there, if there's no progress by the time she arrives, then she's going to take over. And we know how that might end because of what happened before when she botched the operation and killed Daj.
Wow. Okay.
Next time on Picard.
That's it. That's the
That's
end.
it. That's where it ends.
it.
And so next time on Picard, Picard's going to begin assembling his ragtag bunch. Not all of them. He's just getting started.
Beginning with crazy tinfoil lady
Yes.
with the shotgun.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, okay, again, why does he have to assemble a ragtag team?
Because he's working outside the system.
So just book a civilian.
No
jet.
civilian transport's going to take you into deep space in restricted areas.
They will if you pay them to do it.
Yeah, is it really restricted area? Yeah, gee, I wish Picard had
Pay them what,
experience-
Adam?
I wish Picard had experience dealing with some type of spacefaring species or force that will literally do anything for money.
We don't know what's happened to them.
Maybe their son went supernova too, or they sold it. They're trying to sell it to the Romulans.
They're trying to sell their son.
Yeah.
Prime real estate.
is just
Sunside property.
No neighbors for miles.
okay.
Yeah. So that's episode 2.
Oh man.
Wow, this is a slow burn because we have 2 episodes that all they did is really set up mysteries and stuff, and Picard still isn't even ready to get off the planet.
Oh, he's ready.
He
Well,
just
but-
needs to find a crew.
I know, that's what I'm saying though. Like he doesn't even have the beginnings of crew, so we got to spend time on the next episode finishing putting together this crew.
Yeah.
So it's just like I would have hoped by now we could have gotten off and
Nope.
have some stuff character like stuff happening rather than Admiral's just swearing at Picard.
Yep. And this is very much like sounds like this is an exposition episode where it's just like before we have the creation of tension, and then we have this entire episode
Right.
of exposition of things they couldn't fit into that first episode, like oh, why did this happen, and why that, and where are those, and let's cover our bases here, and it took an entire episode to do that.
Right, which is not a whole lot of tension and conflict.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And other than the Irish accented Romulan yelling at Picard.
Hoity-toity.
Who is this in the
This is the
chat?
chick that Picard went and talked to.
Okay. And she hates him for some reason?
Yeah. Except he enticed her with, secret Romulan operations.
And wine.
And wine.
The 86.
Vintage 1986.
1986.
I don't know.
Thank you for joining us on Back Up a Second. I have been your host/moderator, Dapper Stormtrooper, and I'd like to thank both Annoyed Fish and Bach the Bashful.
You
for
don't even
their
remember my
continued
nickname.
participation. Nope, I change it every time because you don't remember it either.
It was
And-
Mozart something.
Thank
No,
Thank you for confirming that. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And remember,
Your life, as it has been, is over.